kandidiral je med tistimi, ki so prišli na prizorišče tega evropskega prvenstva. Vsekakor velika stvar za Slovenijo, to pogajanje, ki bo prav gotovo privabilo tudi kar precej tujih obiskovalcev. Precej smo dobili nekaj sorodnikov, reprezentantov iz posameznih držav, seveda pa pričakujemo ob samih porogah tudi veliko domačih navdušencev. Je pa to bila tudi priložnost, da se tudi naši kreativci lahko nekako povežejo s tem evropskim prvenstvom, kajti v soboto
Choo-choo. Spoštovane gospe in gospodje, drage tekmovalke in tekmovalci, cenjeni gostje. Dobrodošli na Evropskem prvenstvu v gorskih in trail tekih v prelepem mestu Kamnik, v osrčju Kamniško-Savinjskih Alp. Veseli smo, da vas lahko gostimo in skupaj z vami praznujemo vrednote športa, vztrajnosti, prijateljstva in mednarodnega sodelovanja. Ladies and gentlemen, dear athletes, distinguished guests, welcome to the European Athletics Off-Road Championships 2026 in the beautiful town of Kamnik, nestled in the heart of Kamnik-Savinja Alps. We are delighted to host you and to celebrate together the values of sport, perseverance, friendship and international cooperation. Častna pokroviteljica prvenstva je predsednica Republike Slovenije, doktorica Nataša Pirc-Musar, ki nas bo v prihodnjih dneh tudi obiskala. Med nami pa toplo pozdravljeni, spoštovani gostje. Gostitelj, župan občine Kamnik Matej Slapar. Predsednik organizacijskega odbora Dušan Papež. Predsednik Atletske zveze Slovenije Primož Feguš. Predsednik Olimpijskega komiteja Slovenije Franjo Bobinac. In predsednik Evropske atletske zveze Dobromir Karamarinov. In seveda vsi drugi spoštovani gostje, predvsem pa tekmovalke in tekmovalci, kot tudi spremljevalci, trenerji, sodniki in vsi vi, dragi navijači, ki boste spremljali tekačice in tekače na njihovih poteh. So the honorary patron of the championships is the President of the Republic of Slovenia, Nataša Pirc-Musar, who will also visit us in the coming days. And just to extend our welcome also in English language, we would like to welcome distinguished guests. The host of the event, Mayor of the Municipality of Kamnik, Matej Slapar, President of Organizing Committee, Dušan Papež, President of Athletics Federation of Slovenia, Primož Feguš, President of the Olympic Committee of Slovenia, Franjo Bobinac, and President of European Athletics, Dobromir Karamarinov. And we can give them also an English applaud. Thank you very much. And of course, a warm welcome to all other distinguished guests and above all, to all the athletes, as well as their accompanying teams, coaches, officials, and all of you, dear supporters, volunteers, who will be helping to make this an amazing, unforgettable event. Sedaj se nam bodo reprezentance s svojimi zastavami predstavile v slavnostnem mimohodu. Na čelu je maskota letošnjega prvenstva, mamut Veljko, ki je ena najpomembnejših paleontoloških najb v Sloveniji. Živjo, Veljko! Je simbol Kamnika in njegove bogate naravne dediščine. Oživili pa so ga mladi tekači kluba gorskih tekačev Papež. Mamut predstavlja moč, vzdržljivost, trdoživost, vrednote, ki odlično odražajo tudi duh gorskih in trail tekov. Zato nas bo Veljko spremljal skozi celotno evropsko prvenstvo kot ambasador povezovanja športa, narave in lokalne zgodovine. So the national teams will now present themselves in a ceremonial parade, proudly carrying their national flags. Leading the procession is the mascot of this year's championship, Veljko the Mammoth. Veljko, come again. Come here in front again. Veljko is inspired by one of the most important paleontological discoveries in Slovenia and has become a symbol of Kamnik and its rich natural heritage. He has been brought to life by the young runners of Mountain Runners Club Papež. Mammoth represents strength, endurance, and resilience, qualities that perfectly reflect the spirit of mountain and trail running. Torej, kot prva na svoje mesto prihaja zastava Evropske atletske zveze. Sledijo pa vse države udeleženke s svojimi reprezentancami in strokovno in navduhujoče jih bo s komentarjem pospremil Bojan Makovec. So the first flag to take its place is the flag of European athletics. It will be followed by all the participating nations and their national teams. And the parade will be accompanied by the expert and inspiring commentary of Bojan Makovec. Welcome, Bojan, dobrodošel v Kamniku. Zelo smo veseli, da si se odzval na povabilo in komaj čakamo. Izvoli.
Hvala, thank you to all of you. Seveda 33 držav imamo in pravi, da jih pozdravimo tule v Kamniku. Najprej pa seveda zastava Evropske atletske zveze. First of all, the flag of European Athletics. Dobro večer. Welcome European Athletics to Kamnik.
Zastava Evropske atletske zveze, veliko prireditev.
In tule je prva nastopajoča država, to je Avstrija. Ladies and gentlemen, the first participating nation, 16 athletes, Team Austria. Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, hier sind die Athleten aus Österreich. Guten Abend und herzlich willkommen. Tule je naslednja zastava, to je zastava Belgije. And the next flag is a flag of Team Belgium. 21 athletes will be participating at this European Championships. Torej 21 tekmovalcev in pravi, da jih pozdravimo. God dag en welcome Belgium. Tule je naslednja nastopajoča država in sicer jih bomo pozdravili v njihovem imenu. Dobre došli, Bolgarija. 17 tekmovalcev, 17 jih prihaja iz Bolgarije. This is the next participating nation, Bulgaria. Dobre došli, blagodarjena vaša poseta. Tule je že četrta nastopajoča država. Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth participating nation is Croatia, Hrvatska. Lijepi pozdrav, dobro večer in dobrodošli. 22 tekmovalk in tekmovalcev je prišlo v Kamnik in okolico. 22 athletes, 22 takmičarke in takmičari su sa nama iz Hrvatske. Tule je že naslednja zastava in to je zastava Češke. 16 tekmovalcev, the next flag is Team Čekija. Daljša vlajka je Česka. Dame a pánovi, máme 16 závodníků. Dobro večer, Česká republika. Vítajte u Slovinsko. Dobro večer, dobrodošli u Slovenii. Iz Skandinávie prihaja naslednja ekipa, 11 tekmovalk in tekmovalcev imamo. We have 11 athletes, so welcome to Kamnik. Hilsen til alle danske atletene, velkommen i Kamnik. Denmark, Danska. In tole že država. 11 medalj in eno zlato so osvojili na Evropskem prvenstvu leta 2022, European Championship 2022, 11 medals, 1 gold, 32 athletes. Buenas tardes e bienvenidos a España. 32 atletos, 32 tekmovalk in tekmovalcev prihaja iz Španije. Spain, welcome. Tule je že naslednja reprezentanca, ki bomo kar rekli dobro večer in dobrodošli. Hive pejve, tervetuloa, Suomi, Finska, Finland. 11 nastopajočih imajo, 11 competing athletes for Team Finland. Tervetuloa, hive pejve. And we go to the next team, ladies and gentlemen. They won 22 medals, 11 gold, 22 medal, 11 zlatih so osvojili na zadnjem Evropskem prvenstvu. Bonsoir et bienvenue pour toute l'athlète de France. Dobro večer, dobrodošli. Še enkrat torej, velika država v gorskih tekih, Francija, avec 38 atlet, torej 38 tekmovalcev, tole pa jih je, dame in gospodje, 44 in že vidimo njihovo zastavo. And we would like to greet 44 athletes. They won 12 medals, 2 gold at the last European Championships. Great Britain, Velika Britanija. Torej, še enkrat, alors bonsoir France, dobro večer Velika Britanija in tole je naslednja država s 5 medaljami, 3 zlatami, 5 medals, 3 gold. This is Team Germany. Good evening and welcome. Dobro večer in dobrodošli. Herzlich willkommen, unsere Freunde aus Deutschland. Alles insgesamt. Es gibt 21 Athleten, 21 tekmovalke, tekmovalcev, prihajajo v Kamnik in okolico. To je Nemčija. Guten Abend, herzlich willkommen, Deutschland. Potem pa prihaja država z 2 nastopajočima in to je Grčija. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 participants coming from Greece and we are greeting Greece. Kalos Irtes Hellas. Dobro večer, dobrodošli. Naslednja država ima 18 nastopajočih. 18 athletes will participate and we will say good evening and welcome Hungary. Jó napot kíván, üdvözöljük Magyarország, Hungary. Sicer so tekmovalci verjetno še na treningu, njim pa bomo zdaj dali en res velik pozdrav. Tretja največja nacija, third biggest nation, 36 athletes, representing Ireland, Slovenija, Ireland, Irska. To je torej močna reprezentanca Irske, tretja najbolj številčna nacija. Mi smo šele pri 14. državi. This is the 14th competing nation and we will wait for a few seconds to get all the athletes on their seats, torej, da bodo vsi prišli na svoja mesta. Vmes pa pozdravljamo že naslednjo državo, ki je že tamle zelo blizu and getting also close to the stage. To pa je država Islandija z 8 nastopajočimi. Willkommen til Island! Torej, močna država Islandija, sicer z 8 tekmovalci, ampak pravijo, da bodo napadli tudi najvišja mesta. Willkommen til Island, Iceland! Tule je naslednja država z 2 nastopajočima kot 16. po vrsti. As 16 in a row we have 2 athletes presenting Israel. Good evening and welcome. Dobro večer, dobrodošli. E adesso abbiamo, come si dice, una squadra con Forza Azzurri, 44 jih je, 44 athletes, allora sono in totale 44 con 22 ragazze, torej most women enter, 22, buonasera e benvenuti, Italia! Torej, rappresentanza Italia, come abbiamo detto, Italia con 44 atleti. Buonasera ancora una volta ragazzi, ci siamo, pronti per dare il via domani. Gremo naprej, tule je reprezentanca, 6 jih je in sicer prihajajo iz baltskih držav, to pa je Latvija in jo prav pozdravljamo. Latvija is here, Leipni Lucam, Latvija. Paldis, thank you for being here in Slovenia, Latvija. No, tole zastavo dobro poznamo, predvsem tudi iz košarke in pozdravljamo jih v njihovem jeziku. Dobrodošli, welcome Lithuania, sveikas atvykęs Lietuva, ačiū for being here, thank you. Tule prihaja en tekmovalec, pravijo, da je najmanjša, the smallest delegation, but the strongest, they say. Dobro večer in dobrodošli ekipa Severne Makedonije. Dobrodojdete Makedonija, blagodarome na vaša poseta. Dobro večer. And the next team coming from the island of Malta. Malta. Ja, nekaj reprezentanc, seveda malo bolj številčnih, nekaj nam je važno, da predstavimo vse. In tule je 22. država, the state number 22, and we will say welcome Dankjewel Nederland, with 17 athletes, 17 tekmovalcev, 17 atleten, Dankjewel Nederland. Torej 17 jih je v naši družbi in so prišli v Kamnik na Evropsko prvenstvo. Super, gremo naprej, tole je 23. država. Ladies and gentlemen, we are presenting you the 23rd nation and we will say Hilsen til Ave, norske atleten, velkomna in Slovenija, Norway, Norveška. 21 tekmovalcev, 21 athletes, 21 atleten, torej 21 tekmovalcev je iz Norveške. Gremo naprej. 24. država, To je reprezentanca Polske, ladies and gentlemen. This is Team Poland. Dámy a pánové, bialo-červoni. Vítamo wszystkich atletów z Polski. Dzień dobry. Tole je torej reprezentanca Polske. Wszystko w porządku? Bardzo dobrze, super. Gremo naprej. 25. država je Portugalska. 25th nation is Portugal. Bem-vindo, você é Portugal. Portugal, torej z Portugalske prihajajo. Izvrstni atleti. Portugal, koliko jih je? 35. 35 atletos do Portugal. Obrigado. 35. In pozdravili jih bomo. Laskavo prosimo Ukrajina. Ukraine. Dobro večer in dobrodošli v Kamniku. 12 tekmovalcev, 12 athletes will be, 12 atletov. Ďakuj Ukrajina. Thank you. In tule je 31 tekmovalcev, 31 athletes, ladies and gentlemen. Za našo lepo ponosno Slovenijo! Tole so torej še reprezentanca Slovenije, kar 31 jih bo nastopilo in za njih bomo navijali v naslednjih dneh, torej 33 držav in čisto na koncu prihaja Slovenija.
Najlepša ti hvala za tako srčno izrečeno dobrodošlico vsem ekipam. So Bojan, really thank you very much for this hearty welcoming to all the participants.
Še enkrat torej, and now all the athletes and all the officials, please give a big applause, and a velik applause.
Spoštovane gospe in gospodje, vabim vas, da ustanete in spoštovanjem prisluhnemo himni Republike Slovenije v izvedbi mestne godbe Kamnik in pevke Ane Plahutnik. Ladies and gentlemen, I kindly invite you, if you are able, to rise and respectfully listen to the national anthem of the Republic of Slovenia, performed by the Kamnik brass band and vocalist Ana Plahutnik.
Živi naj si narodi, ki hrepeni dočakat dan, da kodar sonce hodi, prepiri sveta bo pregnan. Da rojak prost bo vsak, ne vrag le sosed bo. Sosed bo
Dame in gospodje, sedaj pa na oder prihaja gostitelj Evropskega prvenstva v gorskih in trail tekih, župan občine Kamnik, Matej Slapar. And now, please welcome to the stage the host of the championships, the mayor of the municipality of Kamnik, Mr. Matej Slapar.
Thank you. Spoštovani predsednik Evropske atletike, gospod Dobromir Karamirov, predsednik Atletske zveze Slovenije, gospod Primož Feguš, spoštovani predsednik Združenja za gorske teke pri Atletski zvezi Slovenije in predsednik in podpredsednik Atletske zveze Slovenije, gospod Dušan Papež, cenjene športnice, športniki, trenerke, trenerji, drage obiskovalke in obiskovalci, spoštovane občanke in občani Kamnika. Dobrodošli v Kamniku, kraju v naročju Kamniško-Savinjskih Alp z bogato zgodovino in močno športno tradicijo.
Microphone, hvala lepa. So respected President of European Athletics, Dobromir Karamirov, President of the Olympic Committee of Slovenia, Franjo Bubinac, President of the Athletics Federation of Slovenia, Primož Feguš, President of Organizing Committee, Dušan Papež, and of course all the runners, all the guests. I extend my warmest welcome to all of you here in Kamnik.
Danes je za Kamnik poseben dan. Se gostimo Evropsko prvenstvo v gorskih in trail tekih ter v našem mestu pozdravljamo skoraj 600 športnic in športnikov iz 33 držav Evropske unije, iz Evrope. To prvenstvo je priznanje Kamniku kot skupnosti, ki šport razume in ga živi. Ob tem gre posebna zahvala klubu gorskih tekačev Papež pod vodstvom Dušana Papeža, organizacijskemu odboru, našemu Zavodu za turizem in šport Kamnik, Atletski zvezi Slovenije, Evropski atletiki in vsem partnerjem, ki so s svojim delom omogočili, da je Kamnik danes gostitelj takšnega prvenstva.
So today is an amazing day for all of us since we are hosting this amazing championship. And this is also a confirmation of our dedication to sports, to all the values that we have.
Dobro, hvala lepa. So thank you very much. And most of all, I would like to thank to everybody that helped organize this amazing event, especially to the organizing committee, Mr. Papež, and all other companies, volunteers, and everybody. Thank you very much for helping this happen.
Kamnik v teh mesecih dokazuje, da gre za občino, ki zna organizirati velike mednarodne športne prireditve. Poleg tega prvenstva smo gostili že Veronikin pokal v lokostrelstvu, prireditve v Alpe Grand Fondo, jeseni nas čaka še del trase Evropskega prvenstva v cestnem kolesarstvu. Vse to ni naključje, temveč rezultat izkušenj, strokovnosti in zaupanja, ki ga Kamnik uživa kot gostitelj velikih mednarodnih športnih dogodkov.
So this competition is just a confirmation that here in Kamnik we really can organize the amazing events on the highest level. We've already had here Veronica's Cup, also the Alpe Adria Fondo race, and we will host another course of the European cycling competition here in Kamnik. So in future we can always just prove that we are capable of doing this.
To ne bi bilo mogoče brez ljudi. Več kot 500 prostovoljcev je tistih del zgodbe, ki daje temu prvenstvu pravo podobo. Prav vi ste srce dogodka in dokaz, da Kamnik zna stopiti skupaj.
But this would not be possible without the people. You, volunteers, more than 500 of you, you are the proof that we can do anything when we open our hearts and join our strengths. Then we can do something amazing.
Dragi tekmovalke in tekmovalci, pred vami so zahtevne preizkušnje v izjemno lepem naravnem okolju. Gorski tek od vas zahteva vztrajnost, pogum in značaj. In prav zato ima ta šport posebno vrednost. Danes tekmujete pod različnimi zastavami, a povezuje vas ista misel. Spoštovanje do športa, narave in drug do drugega.
So dear athletes, in front of you, you have really amazing challenges with heavy courses, but you are all joined in this perseverance, in strength, in power, and this is what gives the true meaning to the sports. And can you just say once again the last sentence? It was really beautiful. Sam še enkrat zadnji stavek.
In prav zato ima ta šport posebno vrednost in spoštovanje do športa, narave in drug do drugega, to so vrline, ki jih imate tekmovalke in tekmovalci.
Hvala lepa. So most of all, we have to say that the values of this sport are love for the nature, real strength and perseverance. So these are the values of your sports and these are the values we should live by.
Kamnik je pripravljen, Evropa je zbrana, pred nami so dnevi vrhunskega športa in skupnih doživeti. Torej, dobrodošli v Kamniku in srečno vsem vam tekmovalke in tekmovalci.
So Kamnik is ready, athletes in here, so Europe is together. And we wish you all an amazing experience in our city.
Thank you.
Hvala lepa, thank you.
Dame in gospodje, Kamnik je občina, ki združuje tradicijo in sodobnost, ki povezuje različne generacije in mladim nudi priložnosti na vseh področjih. Zato si zdaj oglejmo nastop mlade folklorne skupine, ki jih spremljajo, seveda prav tako mladi glasbeniki. In sicer šolsko kulturno-umetniško društvo Verine zvezdice. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for your welcoming address and warm greetings to our guests. Kamnik is a municipality that successfully combines tradition and modernity, bringing together different generations and providing young people with opportunities in many areas of life. To celebrate this spirit, we will now enjoy a performance by a young folk dance group accompanied by talented young musicians. Please welcome the Verine Zvezdice School Cultural Artistic Society. Bravo ekipa. Once again we would like to thank this young performance. Mi pa imamo čas na oder povabiti še enega gosta in z nami je gospod Primož Feguš. Ladies and gentlemen, we would now like to invite to the stage the president of the Athletics Federation of Slovenia to address us, Mr. Primož Feguš. The floor is yours.
Spoštovani predsednik Evropske atletike Dobromir Karamarinov, spoštovani predsednik Olimpijskega komiteja Slovenije Franjo Bobinac, spoštovani župan občine Kamnik Matej Slapar, drage tekačice, tekači, trenerke, trenerji, dragi gostje.
Respected President of European Athletics, Dobromir Karamirov, President of the Olympic Committee of Slovenia, Franjo Bobinac, and all other distinguished guests. Is that okay if we keep it like this? And of course, all of you athletes, welcome.
V čast mi je, da vas lahko pozdravim v Sloveniji, v Kamniku. Ko sem pred skoraj 4 leti postal predsednik Atletske zveze Slovenije, je bila moja prva želja, da bi lahko v bližnji prihodnosti v Sloveniji gostilo eno od velikih evropskih atletskih tekmovanj. Moja prva misel je bila Evropsko prvenstvo v gorskih tekih, saj je Slovenija najbolj primerna glede na format tega tekmovanja zaradi svoje naravne danosti in infrastrukture. Hkrati pa sta Dušan Papež in Tomo Šarf imela že izkušnje z organizacijo takšnih tekmovanj.
So I am really glad that I can welcome you all here in Kamnik in Slovenia. When I became the president of Slovenian Athletics Federation 4 years ago, it was my greatest wish to host one of the great athletic Olympic competitions here in Slovenia, and the first idea I had was exactly the mountain running, because of the natural beauties and all the possibilities that the nature provides for this sport in Slovenia, and due to the amazing people like Dušan Papež and Tomo Šarf, who have amazing experience in organizing this kind of events at this European level.
Evropska atletika je v naši ekipi prepoznala sposobnost in energijo in nam podelila možnost organizacije tega tekmovanja, za kar se ji iz srca zahvaljujem. Zahvaliti se moram tudi občini Kamnik, županu Mateju Slaparju in celotni lokalni skupnosti, ki je stopila skupaj za potrebe tega tekmovanja in nam pomagala v največji možni meri.
So first of all, I would like to extend our gratitude to the European Athletics. They recognized our team as an able team and they've entrusted us with the organization of this event. And second of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to the mayor of Kamnik and of course the whole of municipality of Kamnik and all that contributed to organization so that we can be here today.
Posebna zahvala pa gre seveda Dušanu Papežu in njegovi družini, Tomu Šarfu, celotnemu lokalnemu organizacijskemu odboru, zaposlenim na Atletski zvezi Slovenije in seveda vsem prostovoljcem, ki so v zadnjem času trdo delali, da bo to prvenstvo potekalo brez zapletov.
And especially I would like to thank to Dušan Papež and his family, to Tomo Šarf and all that were working, all the associates from the Slovenian Athletics Federation, and most of all to all the volunteers that were working really hard these past days so that everything will go through as planned.
Drage tekačice in tekači, to prvenstvo je namenjeno vam. Veliko veselje mi je, da vam lahko pokažemo lepote Slovenije in upam, da boste v Sloveniji te dni uživali na tekaški trasi, pa da boste dali vse od sebe. Slovenski reprezentanci želim čim boljših uvrstitev, vsem skupaj pa, da se čim prej vrnete spet v Slovenijo, bodi si kot tekači, bodi si kot turisti. Srečno in hvala.
So, dear athletes, I am really glad that I can welcome you here in Slovenia, and I hope you will really enjoy all the beauties of our country, and wish you best of luck on the courses, and I wish all the best to the Slovenian team, and welcome whenever you feel like coming back to Slovenia. We will always welcome you with open hearts. Thank you very much.
Hvala lepa za vaš nagovor. Thank you very much for your inspiring address. No, zdaj pa nam je v posebno čas, da je danes z nami tudi predsednik Evropske atletske zveze Dobromir Karamarinov, ki bo po svojem nagovoru tudi uradno otvoril letošnje Evropsko prvenstvo v gorskih in trail tekih. Gospod Karamirov, izvolite, odar je vaš. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a special honor for us to have with us today the president of the European Athletics, Mr. Dobromir Karamarinov. Following his address, he will officially declare the 2026 European Athletics Off-Road Championships open. Mr. Karamarinov, the stage is yours. Dobrodošli, gospod Karamarinov.
Dear athletes, officials, volunteers, coaches, spectators, it's a big honor, a pleasure for European athletics to be here again in Slovenia, to be again in Kamnik. We have a fresh memory from the last year, very successful delivery, European Team Championships, 3rd and 2nd Division in Maribor. We still remember successful 2017 mountain running here in Kamnik.
Torej, dragi atleti, spoštovani gostje, vsi prostovoljci in drugi danes prisotni, toplo pozdravljeni. In za evropsko atletiko je veliko veselje in čas, da smo ponovno tukaj v Kamniku. Še vedno so zelo sveži spomini na lanskoletno prvenstvo, ki je bilo organizirano v Mariboru. Zelo dobro se še spominjamo iz odlične izvedbe prvenstva tukaj v Kamniku leta 2017 in veseli smo, da smo zopet tukaj.
Mr. President of Slovenian Athletics, my dear friends, of course I know the name Primož Pehuš, but I try to address to him how to address, because they already delivered two times in a row European Athletic Championships. But we expect your next step. When the athletics facility will be ready, athletics arena, we expect for the next occasion, the big occasion in Slovenian athletics.
Torej, spoštovani gospod predsednik Atletske zveze, moram pa kar dobro premisliti, kaj v bistvu bi vam povedal. Toliko ste naredili do sedaj, da komaj čakamo, da bo končana dvorana in bomo imeli naslednjo priložnost, da v Slovenijo pripeljemo veliko evropsko tekmovanje.
If you check in Wikipedia, you can find that Kamnik is a small city in Slovenia. I disagree. Mr. Mayor, you can be proud, because 33 member federations, 33 nations, and nearly 600 athletes are here. They are best of the best mountain and trail running runners.
Torej, če pogledamo na Wikipedijo, tam piše, da je Kamnik majhno mesto. S tem se absolutno ne strinjam. Spoštovani gospod župan, lahko ste resnično zelo ponosni, kajti danes je tukaj kar 33 reprezentanc, preko 600 tekačev, najboljših med najboljšimi v gorskih tekih.
Dear athletes, next 3 days you have a big challenge. You challenge yourself. You challenge this mountain. But athletics, it's not only performance. We are untouchable sport. We create not only athletics hero, we create friendship, we create solidarity, what you have to keep to the end of your life.
Torej, spoštovani atleti, pred vami so 3 dnevi izjemnih izzivov. Izvali boste sami sebe, izvali boste tole planino, a hkrati bojo vsi 3 dnevi potekali v duhu prave atletike. Atletika je večna in ta duh naj bo z nami vse te dni. Duh solidarnosti, duh prijateljstva in sodelovanja.
I want to thanks to the LOC, I want to thanks to Slovenian Athletic Federation, I want to thanks to the city of Kamnik, I want to thanks to the all 500 volunteers who make this event happen.
Rad bi se zahvalil organizacijskemu odboru Slovenski zvezi atletike. Rad bi se zahvalil mestu Kamnik in pa vsem 500 prostovoljcem, ki so omogočili, da smo danes tukaj.
During the press conference, I had a question, how I see the future of our sport, how I see the future of the trail running. And I can tell you, here, I see the living legend of our sport. I see Christoph, I see Dusan, I see Tomo, I see Dimitar. And please, my friend, do it your legacy and create the young people who love our sport like you love it.
Na tiskovni konferenci pred odprtjem so me vprašali, kako vidim prihodnost trail tekov. In ja, vidim jo. Tukaj pred menoj so prave legende. Dušan, Tomo, Kristof in še drugi. In polagam vam na srce, naj bo to vaša dediščina, ki jo prenesete na mlade, da se bo ta zgodba še uspešneje nadaljevala.
Good luck, the athletes. Good luck not only for the coming 3 days. Good luck for this so important for European athletics here. Good luck for the future, because you are the future. And now, allow me to declare that European Off-Road Championships Kamnik 2026 is officially open.
Dragi atleti, srečno v teh dneh, srečno na vaših poteh, pa ne samo v 3 dneh. Naj vas sreča spremlja še naprej, na vaših poteh, na vseh tekmah. In sedaj razglašam, da je letošnje prvenstvo 2026 uradno odprto.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand if you're able to for the anthem of European Athletics. Hvala, thank you.
Evropsko prvenstvo v gorskih in trail tekih je sedaj tudi uradno odprto. Današnjo slovesnost pa zaključujemo s točko, ki nosi globoko sporočilo. Učenci osnovne šole Stranje prinašajo darilo mladosti, saj na mladih svet stoji. Zato je pomembno, da jih podpiramo, da jim damo prostor, da se izrazijo. V rokah prinašajo rdeče dežnike. Dežnik simbolizira zaščito, hkrati pa nosi sporočilo, da za vsakim dežjem posije sonce. Nastopili pa bodo na slovensko ljudsko pesem z naslovom Rad imel bi jabolko. So the European Athletics Off-Road Running Championships is now officially open. We conclude today's ceremony with a performance that carries a profound message. The pupils of Stranje Primary School bring a gift of youth, reminding us that the world rests on the young, which is why it is so important to support them and give them the space to express themselves. In their hands, they will be carrying red umbrellas. The umbrella symbolizes protection, while also carrying the message that after every rain, the sun will shine again. They will perform to the Slovenian folk song titled Rad imel bi jabolko, I would like to have an apple. Ja, lepo je imeti jabolko. Jabolko rdeče, ki simbolizira zdravje, moč. Vse, kar potrebujejo, tudi tekači. Jabolko za vsakogar. In mladostna energija današnjega večera naj vam, dragi tekači, vlije moči za vsak klanec.
Yes, it is beautiful to have an apple, a shining red apple symbolizing health, strength, everything that runners need. An apple for everyone. And the youthful energy of this event should give you, dear runners, the strength for every climb. Srečno vsem in še enkrat dobrodošli v osrčju naših prelepih gora. So once again, good luck and welcome in the heart of our beautiful mountains.
V parih besedah čaka jih 9 km dolga proga s slabimi 1300 višinskimi metri. Srednji del je izredno strm, uvodni del malo manj, dovolj širok, da omogoča, da se pozicionirajo tekači. Zadnji del je pa uživanje po travnikih Velike planine s pogledom na eni strani na dolino Kamniške Bistrice, na drugo stran na koček Velike planine, tako da mislim, da je res trasa vredna evropskega prvenstva.
Welcome to Slovenia, where the European Off-Road Running Championships lands in one of Central Europe's most picturesque and challenging landscapes. Known for its steep forested slopes and panoramic alpine views, Ljubljana-Kamnik provides the perfect backdrop for 3 days of intense competition and, of course, breathtaking scenery. And we start off with a bang today as the uphill mountain races, which for the seniors lead athletes from Stahovica 8.9 kilometres, almost 9 kilometres, over an ascent of 1.25k up to Velika Planina, which is the settlement that we are looking at right now through these beautiful steep forested banks. It is the under 20 races that are first up, taking on the 3.8 kilometre course, covering the second half of what the seniors will take on later on this morning. They start in Kisovec and will climb up to 1.25 kilometres above sea level. Jeff Whiteman, we have seen some beautiful shots already this morning. What a stunning venue for the next 3 days.
Drizzle or even heavier rain throughout the course of the morning. So I hope it won't perturb the runners in any way, but I hope it doesn't spoil any of the beauty shots or lead to any sort of misty scenes where we can't see the gaps between athletes. But it is a fabulous setting, and this is the peak of the hiking season, so lots of people will be heading to here across the summer to walk the Slovenian Alps. Fantastic location.
Yeah, a lot of the athletes coming a few days early, arriving here in Kamnik and making sure that they're making the most, not just of the Alps, but of course these beautiful shots that we're seeing of the town and the history here in Slovenia.
Tudi za izbirne tekme za reprezentanco sem se večino pripravljal na stezi in sem dosegel kar dober rezultat, sem prišel reprezentanco iz 2. mesta, tako da mislim, da lahko dobro povežem trening na stezi in pa gorske teke. Sicer pa se tudi v zadnjih časih bolj fokusiram, delamo bolj specifične treninge, priprave smo tudi odlično opravili na Veliki planini in mislim, da lahko pričakujemo rezultat v boljši polovici, kar pa bomo pa zares videli naslednji vikend.
Ja, pričakovanja so sigurno zelo visoka, predvsem v disciplini gor. ker se mi zdi, da sem letos zelo dobro pripravljena, tudi s trenerjem to veva. Nažalost se mi je kakšne slab teden nazaj zgodila manjša poškodba, ker sem na spustu malo zvila gleženj, ampak jaz verjamem to, da bomo sanirali do petka, tako da bom že v vrhunski pripravljenosti.
Pa se mi zdi, da gorski tek je načeloma zahtevnejši, sploh glede vseh vzponov in spustov, ampak zato sem si pa pol tudi na stezi izbrala steeplechase, da ni tako dolgočasno, pa da je malo bolj tehnično zahtevno. Ampak ja, se mi zdi, da pa na splošno je pa gorski tek veliko bolj zahteven.
So the fans already making their way up the incline here in Kamnik into their positions nice and early to see the athletes in these elite waves go through. We have an open race as well as with all the races this weekend. There has been an opportunity for the public to get involved, and those races already kicked off and on the whole mostly concluded as we prepare for the start of the under-20 races. The seniors will follow on after that. You can see the umbrellas out already. It is 16 degrees but plenty of rain, throwbacks to France 4 years ago where there was similar conditions for the uphill races. And of course, Jeff, there are a group of athletes that will really embrace the wet weather here.
Yeah, for most of these athletes training year-round, wet is the norm. It's not going to be an issue for Friday's races, today's races, because it's all uphill. It might be an issue if it's still raining on Sunday for some of the downhill descents that are involved on the return run on Sunday. But I think for today, and you can see the under-20 men, there's 66 men from 20 countries, all being a bit nesh, huddling under the gazebo. They're due off in just under 19 minutes from now. So a few final push-outs and strides. But for many of these athletes, you forget really, they're not that experienced. For some of them, this may be their first trip aboard at the age of 18 or 19. So there'll be some nerves jangling under there at the moment.
Yeah, it was interesting listening to some of those interviews, Jeff, because there is a real mix of athletes. I think more so, as you rightly point out, in the junior levels, who are focused most of their season, maybe at a bit of road running, this time of year more track, but have been given the opportunity to come and race here in Slovenia. The seniors, you also get that mix of real out-and-out mountain runners, sky runners, previous orienteers, but then also some track runners who are using this as an opportunity to come and do something different. And so that will be an interesting narrative, maybe not so much today, but particularly tomorrow in the trail races, this mix that we've got coming through. And you can see, of course, all the colours of the nations there. A record-breaking European Off-Road Running Championships with more than 100 participants than we had back in 2024. It is great to see.
Yes, in total it's 593 athletes from 33 countries. So it is a growing area of the sport. Just on the diversity point, when I was looking at some of the junior women's biogs, you've got athletes there that are still competing actively in triathlon, that are competing actively in orienteering. And so they haven't had to make a decision on which to specialise with just yet. And I suppose at 18, 19, you can still play a variety of sports, do a different type of running at different types of the week. But at some point over the next 3 or 4 years, they need to specialise.
And this is a great opportunity for particularly those in the trail running and mountain running, sky running community to have their influence. Of course, as we've already said, plenty of these athletes, this may be their first opportunity to come and race at a European Championships, and this being a good experience for them could really impact where their career goes going forward. A couple of sprints out off the line, each taking turns one by one, and you can see some of the British athletes taking the waterproofs off, all huddled under that gazebo. 15 degrees down here at the start of the under-20 races. They are already at quite a significant way up the course that we'll see for the elite races, the senior elite races. It's just a 4-kilometre course, just under 4 kilometres, climbing 425 metres. This already started, say.
4 kilometres doesn't sound like much, but if you're going up a gradient that is the equivalent of a step ladder, they'll feel every bit of that.
And a lot have already had their domestic championships to see who would make these teams. And of course, for some nations, easier to find those inclines than others. And of course, for those who have been lucky enough to come out a couple of days early, come and test the course, that is maybe not as much of an important part of the racing today. It will be the more technical sections that we see in the trail tomorrow, and of course in the up and downhill. Those are the real bits where the athletes tend to come out earlier on and make sure that they know the intricacies of those downhills.
That's Hilary Walker featuring in Vision at the moment, a real stalwart of trail and ultra running over decades. I'm sure she won't mind me saying that. And it has become trendy. It has become a growth part of the sport. It's almost come off the back of the marathon boom, that when people finish a marathon, their debut marathon, yes, they may run another one, see if they'll get quicker, but after they've run 2 or 3, it's what's next? And look at that mountain there. I wonder what that would be like to run up. And if you ask any runner of any standard what their favourite run is, it's never a road run. It's always going to be something off-road, in a park, up a hill, beside a river, around a lake. So trail running is probably entering its golden era coming up over the next few years.
Yeah, that was the conversation I was having with Enrico Pellini this week, the secretary of ITRA, and he was saying it has been a big decade of growth, of course, for running on the whole. It took them a little bit of time to see the boom initially in mountain running and trail running, but you do feel, of course, in the last 12 months in particular, Jeff, that you see it across the board. Running is trendy again, almost out of nowhere. We've seen a massive boom, particularly in Europe, and we see it on the ground in the United Kingdom. And there is that desire, as you say, for those who have done a couple of marathons, have beaten their half marathon PB, are continuing to push themselves there, but want a different challenge, and this provides a great opportunity for that, particularly with the open races. And you never know, someone lining up in the open races could find themselves on the start of one of the senior races in the trail in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, it's running's venture towards extreme sport, isn't it? I can remember in South London on consecutive days over a weekend, there was a league cross country over 9 miles that attracted maybe 100 athletes, and then the following day over the same course, the same distance, marketed as extreme, I can't remember what they called it, grim or tough mudder or something like that. 1,000 people took part. So it's part of the positioning of the sport to capture that sort of march towards extreme running. Marathon des Sables is something that runners often do after they've completed a marathon as the next step towards testing themselves. And this hill today will really test these young athletes for sure.
So pretty much everyone out from under the gazebo. Still some waterproofs to be shed. But we are fast approaching the start of this under 20 men's race. The official time to get underway is 10 o'clock Central European time, local time here in Slovenia, and then half an hour later we will see the women follow along.
I'm interested to see how the team management spreads its resources for an event like this. Obviously there'll be somebody from team management with these athletes, taking the kit from them in the last few minutes, and we're now 11 minutes away from our first start. But they also have to have people out on the course. There are drink stations. They'll really come into play tomorrow. This is a full run through alphabetically, nation by nation of the athletes that will contest this first race. 66 men, 20 countries. I think probably this one is seen as a duel between France, and you can see the 4 starters for France there. In the team competition, it's 3 to score. and it is lowest cumulative positions. So every nation could enter up to six names. They can run up to 4 on the start list, and the first 3 count. And as we scroll through, you can see certain nations just bringing 1 or 2 competitors. So they're not interested in the team competition, but it could mean that that one athlete may challenge individually.
And particularly, Jeff, under 20 level, that team aspect is really embraced across all the, whether you look at European cross country, of course here at the off-road running championships, the teams do really embrace the opportunity to have those members on the podium.
This is going to be race number 2, coming up in about half an hour's time, the women's under 20.
And all eyes in this race will be on Germany's Julia Earl, but of course France, Spain have so much heritage in off-road running, mountain running. There's a look at the British team as well. But Julia Earl wearing bib 418 is the name you need to keep an eye on. Such an incredible performer across all surfaces. She won bronze at in the 5,000 metres in Tampere at last year's European Under-20 Championships, the reigning world and European champion as well. And keep your eyes on this Italian contingent as well, as much as we speak about France and, of course, Spain having so much heritage in the sport. The Italians have travelled well, they always do. Speaking to a couple of the Italian team this week, they don't see it as too far a journey to hop across north of the border and be here in Slovenia for these championships, and they've travelled very well indeed. You can see the home team there. We heard from a couple of them in the build-up for this race, and Switzerland as well. When we talk about off-road running heritage, Rahel Good comes into this in some very good form of her own.
Well, hats off to San Marino, who've got athletes in both of these under-20 races across the weekend, and there are 10 races, a huge 53-kilometre trail race tomorrow. A lot of those senior athletes are effectively professional. They have sponsorship, they win prize money, they race each other a lot on an established circuit. Most of these athletes that we're looking at now in the under-20 men's won't know each other. Often their results are largely based in their home country or the one directly across the border. So there won't be that experience. And that comes into play if somebody makes a break early on. They won't know who it is. They won't know whether it's for real, whether it's something that needs to be neutralised, or whether they can just ignore it and it's a bit of showboating. So I think that will come into play, the lack of racing between each other that there will have been, especially this year.
Yeah, you make an excellent point there, and this why it is such a valuable opportunity for these young men in the under-20 race to have that experience. Some of them may be looking at, of course, a couple of summers on the track trying to qualify for the European Youth Championships and Junior Championships. Some might be eyeing up an opportunity to go overseas to compete through the collegiate system in the USA, and well, for many of them, as we've already said, this is their first opportunity to pull on a national vest, race in these conditions, and an opportunity that all of them will be relishing. But when you have an opportunity like this, they will want to prove themselves as well. Here is another look at the course, just under 4 kilometres, fairly gradual start, but then it is quickly into the uphill, and then another significant climb just before the finish line. Here up the top of the gorgeous ridge here in Slovenia.
That's all there is to it. It looks so simple, doesn't it? Breathtaking views, you can enjoy that. This will be absolutely lung-busting. There's a brief downhill at about 6 kilometres. That will offer no respite at all. If anything, that may break up any rhythm that's been established. So this will be tough. This will be a real challenge. And it's an excellent course. I mean, not everywhere in Europe could host in the way that Slovenia has here. We're only about 15 kilometers from the airport, 20 kilometers from Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia. But Kamnik has really embraced this event. We've had an opening ceremony. People have been arriving over the course of many days. And now we are 5 minutes away from our first race start.
Yeah, great to see some of the big names embracing the community as well. The big news this morning was that Tove Alexanderson unable to compete. She is pulled out of the up and down race on Sunday, but more importantly as well, the trail race where she was the big favourite, but she made sure she came out a couple of days early and made a lot of people's weeks, if not years, in the Slovenian orienteering community, going out and competing and meeting some of those who were competing themselves at one of the Slovenian orienteering series races in the local area. And a great opportunity for those, of course, on the start line here, but those who may be participating in the opening ceremony as well, to see these athletes, see what you can achieve in the sport, and the likes of Tove Alexanderson, who has done so much in the course of the last couple of years, really catapulted herself to the top of mountain running, sky running, trail running, of course, on top of what she was already doing in orienteering.
When we get to the senior races, there will be 5 or 6 of the leading seeds, including one for the home nation, that will be introduced to the crowd at the start line. There's no such walk forward for these junior men, but the field is listed in order of merit on one of the lists that we have. So the favourites on that basis would be Flavien Brulin of France and his teammate Yannick Memheld. They're both experienced trail runners. They've done the Sky Running Junior Series, and the leading challengers against them. And France, by the way, have a third athlete that's also competed at international level already. That's Oscar Kransak-Sherigs. So that could be the 3 that will be the favourites for the team event. But we've also got for Italy, Stefano Paradi, and for Poland, Simon Butz. Those among the leading seeds, but they are only 18, 19 years of age. So form counts for as much as reputation. And it's interesting to note on the start, if this were a cross-country field, they would be in pens assigned to each country. They're just completely mingling and chatting to athletes from other nations there. So there's no sort of formation flying looking very likely in the opening charge, because they're not stood together in teams.
Yeah, you make an excellent point about form, Jeff. Speak about some of these athletes who have experience, the ones you've already mentioned in Memheld, Brulin, Carlos Garcia as well of Spain, 5th at the 2025 International Under-18 Mountain Running Cup. But these, of course, all require a certain level of funding to get to these events. And some of them, of course, if you come from a nation where there aren't the regularity of these events, sort of outside of France, Switzerland, Spain, Italy, it can be hard to find those opportunities, and that is why this under-20 race, particularly on the men's side, of course we have one to keep an eye on the women's side in particular, but on the men's is so hard to call.
Just on a style point, you can see 1 or 2 favouring caps. When we get to the trail race tomorrow, the athletes have mandatory backpacks that they have to carry. Here, it's not even guaranteed that they will take on board fluid. It will resemble more like a cross-country race in terms of duration, speed. The only key difference is that that uphill will be relentless. It very much flatters to deceive as we look across this meadow at a nice smooth area of pasture, but it will be very quickly into the relentlessness of uphill, and then it just never stops. We're still just under 2 minutes away from our first start. You get uphill specialists. The British tradition is of Highland Games and North of England festivals and fetes, where you run to the top of the hill and back down again. We'll see that skill tested on Sunday, but this is about the people that have got the quads of steel and the lungs of iron that will be able to just handle step after step of incline. So we're into the final countdown now for this one. By my watch, we're 15 seconds away from race start. Still quite a light-hearted atmosphere. You can see the athletes at the back bouncing up and down. But the first of 10 races at these European Athletics Off-Road Championships are about to get underway with the under-20 men's uphill-only race. So stand by, starting their watches. The time will be irrelevant, fellas. It's about positions. So a slightly ragged start, maybe even a slightly false start here. There will be a charge across these opening few hundred metres just to establish position before the trails start to narrow. But there will be good support. We've had open races, mass races. Looks like the team in green at the back there. So there is some team orders. I can see Ireland followed by what could be Lithuania, looking at the back of the vest, running in formation early on. But already the trail has started to narrow.
And that is why getting a good position after the start gate is so important. It will narrow and then widen in various places across the course, and they will want to make sure they've had the better of the starts to get right into this race. Jeff, it is as much as, you know, you speak about how lung-busting these next 4 kilometres will be for these junior athletes. There is the tactical side of it as well. Knowing when to make those surges, depending on the width of the course, is so important. There will be a bit of argy-bargy, elbows out, and ensuring that you're putting number one first, and that is why, of course, recceing the course on the day before is so important.
And in terms of the team competition, they won't necessarily be able to see everything that's going on up ahead and behind. You don't scan the field, you look at where your foot placement is coming next. Let's hear what one of the athletes had to say in advance.
Por lo tanto, sí, vamos a ir completamente a tope, se van a ir a ritmos muy altos. Y bueno, pues espero tener un buen día y poder disputarlo.
The early leader, at least the glimpse that I got, was one of the British athletes. Couldn't catch the number, but the leading trio for Great Britain and Northern Ireland is Kieran Hardy, Rowan Taylor and Tom Nauer.
Mi aspetto che sarà una gara veloce fin da subito e io cercherò di essere lì a giocarmi dei posti importanti e provare a fare un grande risultato. Io preferisco sempre il tempo un pochino più fresco e non tanto caldo, spero che non piova, però dai, il fresco penso che possa andarmi bene.
Yeah, I know a little bit. I did an event on the course actually end of last year. So yeah, because of that, I remember most of it. So yeah, it's a really fun course, I think. There's a lot of variety to it. Quite fast at the start, a bit more kind of steeper in the middle, and then fast at the end. So yeah, it'll be about kind of pacing it right, playing to your strengths, and kind of knowing the field around you and how other people run tactically as well. The weather. I was kind of hoping it would be quite hot, but it's looking quite wet, so which we're used to from the UK. Used to be wet and cold, so it should be okay.
Well, thank you a lot for this amazing receive and that beautiful place. And yes, I think I've seen some videos because last year I thought that was World Cup final, and I saw that it's very runnable and some parts are steep, but I really like this type of races, and I think I can do it on my best and try to do, enjoy the race and try to do what I can. Well, I will try to see how the race is developing and try to don't excite in the beginning. And well, yes, I would like to make a progression and see if I can go more stronger in the final part.
Ja, prvo, ena velika čast je zastopati lastno državo na Evropskem prvenstvu in to še celo na domačem. Tako da za to tekmo si res želim pokazati sebe v najboljši luči. Tudi to, na čemu sem delal zadnje mesece, da sem dvigoval formo in da upam, da je zdaj res prišla na tisti vrhunec. in na dan tekme iztisniti vse iz sebe, pokazati tisto najboljšo različico. Verjamem pa, da bojo tudi navijači pripomogli k temu, da bomo še kakšen atom več lahko stisnili tekmovalci iz sebe.
So yeah, it will be for sure a fast race. Will be I think like 15 minutes. So yeah, we will start super fast from the beginning. I'm in quite good shape. So yeah, I will try to give my best and stay with the group, and let's see what happens on the trails Friday. But yeah, I'm really excited on the race. I like a lot this area. I was here like 5 days now to see the courses, and yeah, it's really. Really nice courses. I'm really happy to be here, and yeah, let's see what happens.
My expectation, I think I'm better in uphill than a few years ago. So yeah, it's my first selection on the uphill, and I think I can try to do my best, obviously. Maybe aiming for crazy results. We will see, because the weather will be very rainy, and I think I really love that. So yeah, I think I will enjoy. Yeah.
Well, all of those are the favoured athletes in the senior men's competition among the top 5 seeds. These are the intermediate standings, and that's only 47 seconds into the race. So that's just confirming it was Kieran Hardy that was leading with no gap at all over the chasing group. So that was a timing mat that was positioned really just at the point where we saw them entering the woods, the forest.
Well, it was interesting listening to some of the athletes there, Jeff. Plenty, of course, have experience on this course from the WMRA World Cup event on exactly the same course last year. We heard Jacob Adkin speaking about that. His sister Scout has been saying the same thing. A lot of them using that opportunity, knowing that the European Championships would be here, of course, a year later. And interesting to hear one of the athletes, one of the Swiss athletes, I believe, say this is quite a runnable course, and there will be a difference, of course, between those who the perception of runnable, but for those who do a lot of the sky running, are used to really having to battle some steep inclines where you have to break into the real hiking, pushing down on your knees, and there is no way to run. They will see this as maybe a bit of a more favourable course.
We'll see plenty of those poles tomorrow, none of those in action. There may be some more scrambly type sections. I do hope we get to see the course in all its glory, notwithstanding the quite heavy rain that is forecast over the next couple of hours, because it will make you want to come to Slovenia, and so will these little commercials as well. That's the fixed camera looking back at the start from which the field departed at exactly 10 o'clock. So we're 9 minutes into the race. This is one of the fixed camera points. And there you can see the mist that's hanging over the mountains. So we're not going to get today the beautiful vista shots that show the gorges and the forest down below. But you've seen the stored imagery. It is an absolutely gorgeous part of the world, and I think this is the first checkpoint where we hope to see runners streaming through in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, we would like to be bringing you more shots of the course, and we hope to throughout the day. Just some early teething problems through the start of the under-20 men's race, so we wait patiently at this first checkpoint for our camera team to see who will emerge. It was Great Britain leading the way through the very, very early stages of this race.
And we'll take that tape as a modest wind gauge, unofficially, that's blowing right to left there. And that is the direction of travel. So if it's possible to have a tailwind all the way up the side of a mountain, then that's helpful. It's not quite a straight line. It curves around slightly left in a sort of C shape. But just looking across this moorland section, pasture grass section, and here's our leader. And I think that could be Flavien Brulin, the pre-race favourite. This cameraman will run with him for a brief part of the race. So we'll just get a runner's eye view. This is one of the relatively flat portions of the course. That's why it's been chosen for this camera work. But you can see how treacherous it is underfoot. And not really an opportunity for him to look back. He does just take a little glance over his left shoulder, perhaps foxed by the fact that the person immediately behind him is our camera runner. And don't be fooled by the downhill, because this is just a brief respite from what is an absolutely relentless climb. And you can see that the heavy rain that we've had for a few hours, and I'm looking to see whether that is actually, it's a different vest, but it could be a French one too. France had 3 in 4 of the seeded athletes, and you can see some big gaps have been opened up here. We're only 11 minutes into the race, and that is fully 100 metres back between the leading 4 to 5th and 6th places as we look at them now. France going well, unquestionably, in the team standings. First man for Norway, and I think that will be their lone competitor, Bjørnar Undheim of Norway. So there are 66 men in this race, and you can see the gaps are huge in just 12 minutes of racing, 12:29 if you look at the clock up in the top left-hand corner of the screen. So the two Brits there working hard together. Remember, it's 3 to score, so both of those will count currently in the team competition. It's lowest cumulative points, so if your team athletes finish first, second and third, they score 1, 2 and 3 points, equals 6. And at the moment, subject to who those vests are out in the leading 4, France could be away and clear already.
And then you have seen Great Britain's top 3 all tightly packed together there as well, as we do see it is then confirmation that it is France who are packing out the podium as things stand. And Jeff, just look at that fog. The mental advantage that those leading 2 men have gained by stretching it out so early on that no one behind them can even see them through the fog. That is massive.
Yes, and it's also very difficult for team management to give any relevant information, because all they can see is 100 metres. So they can't say we're lying in bronze medal position, because by the time they've calculated that, all of the runners will have gone through. I think that's Flavien Brulin and Yannick Memheld, the number 1 and 2 seeds. They were running together. The gaps are almost elastic at this point. On a clear bit of running, the gaps open up. On this sort of section, they close right down, as they almost have to put their hands on their knees to get up almost steps on the incline. So the positions will change a little bit, but at the moment it is looking like France good for individual medals and also going well in the team challenge, but it is 3 to score. I think the third French scorer was either in 3rd or 4th when last we checked.
Yeah, France in a really favourable position, and as you say there, Jeff, you can see some of the athletes as they come over that really short, steep incline, rocky incline there, breaking into the hike to try and just keep that momentum rolling over as they come into this now downhill section. There are those sort of glimmers of technical sections on this course, and they have to keep their wits about them as you can see them coming through the fog there. It won't be easy to see anticipate even the upcoming bits, the changes of the landscape. And well, doesn't that just paint the picture of what they're contending with today as we go back to heading back out to the front of the field, and it is our leading French pair of Brulin and Memeld. Memeld is the athlete who's not wearing the cap, I believe. The athlete with the bun is Yannick Memeld.
Well, these are very difficult conditions to run in, but also to film in. So our cameraman doing the best to get these sort of gorillas in the mist images of the runners on the downslope. Are they chatting? Are they working together? There's almost something tacit going on between them where they're just matching strides on the uphill. If they look back, yeah, and he's having a quick look over his right shoulder now, it won't give him loads of information. I suspect those leading the chase include the third scorer for France, which is Oscar Kransak-Cheyrig. So France going well, but difficult for these two to know exactly what's going on behind them in terms of their third scorer and the bronze medal challenger. So does that say 500 metres to go?
It did indeed. So 500 metres to go, 16 minutes and 25 seconds on the clock for our leading duo, who have been side by side through the majority of this race. And now a game of cat and mouse between the two Frenchmen. Who will go first?
Well, just in their outline, they can see the finish line. You would suspect they are gathering. I wonder if they might run in together. We don't have a photo finish in hill running, so they wouldn't necessarily be separated, and it might be in the spirit of team competition. But our cameraman has managed to interpose himself in between the pair of them. A different choice in line there, and it's accounted for a second of difference. Very hard to gather any kind of head of steam over terrain like this, where you're looking really at where your next foot placement is. But it looks like Brulin and Memeld not only heading for gold and silver, but probably the team title for France as well. And this is the third French scorer and the fourth French scorer. So fantastic day for France in this opening under-20 event.
Yeah, no surprise to see France in these conditions perform well. It was very similar conditions 2 years ago in Annecy, and it was France who dominated across the board in those championships. They had the advantage, you felt, of running on tracks well known to them, that home advantage 2 years ago. This time round, really making the most of it and proving that they can do it on surfaces that aren't their own. It is France who pack out the top four, and our first British runner coming through Spain up there as well. It'll be interesting, Jeff, to see who finishes behind them in the team championships with such a mix of vests coming through now.
Now, this is where the team podium will be decided. You can see two for Switzerland in there, second scorer for Norway, second scorer for Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Spain may be closing in that cluster. So what a situation to have. They've got 500 metres to run. There's only a couple of seconds separating 8 of them, and that could be the difference between a silver, a bronze, or no team medal at all. And the team management will be telling them that. Look at this team manager running alongside his athlete, trying to urge him to get another position, because it could be absolutely crucial, and they can't even breathe, let alone respond. So this is tough. They are running in together. So it looks as though Brulin and Memeld join hands and cross the line, and this is going to be a big day for France. 19 minutes of running, and there is the clean sweep. And I think it's even Italy. Italy have their first man home, and that could be Stefano Perardi. But look at that. That is the perfect score. First, second and third, add them together, 6 points. France with individual gold, silver and bronze, and team gold. What a day.
Sheer dominance from France. And coming across the line together, Emilian Simoneau and Yannick Memeld. Italy finding themselves in a good position as well in the team championships. They now have 2 runners across the line as we wait to see when their third scorer will finish. Everyone being helped back to their feet. It was a monumental finish, and a really lovely picture between the 2 Frenchmen across the line together.
And the thing about uphill running is, although they'll be feeling quite wobbly and breathless now, you recover from it quite quickly because it's just one set of muscles. And the hardest thing in human movement is that downhill yielding where you have to brake with your legs. That's why the championship is designed this way. Uphill on Friday, a rest day for these guys while the trail ultra race happens tomorrow, and then back for the up and downhill. And France have absolutely had the perfect start.
In conditions that suited the Frenchmen perfectly as well. You can see the wind rippling through some of the markers there, and also, if you look closely, just the way the wind is being blown over the top of this plateau as well. Here at confirmation of the top 10. A good day, of course, France leading the way. They've secured the team title as well. Absolutely no doubt about that, with a clean sweep of the podium. Italy with 2 good markers, and then it will just depend where their third comes through, with, of course, Spain, Great Britain and Belgium in favourable positions there as well.
And sorry for calling Simoneau Brulan, but I think you'll forgive us the identification in conditions like this where the visibility, it's not cold at all, it's 16 degrees, and they won't necessarily be feeling that rain, but it does make it very challenging for spectators and cameramen. But they're on top of the world, on top of the hill in Slovenia. Suddenly there's an awful lot of French supporters, aren't there?
Well, you did. We spoke, didn't we, Jeff, just before the race was kicking off, about where they might put their team managers, and of course they piling them all right at the end. Clearly very confident that they wouldn't need any extra support before the line, and with the strength that they've just shown, you can understand why. Here is a look at the competition schedule for the rest of the day. We have the under 20 women coming up next before the senior men, and of course senior women as well. And there's a look at the profile for the senior men. Now, this is a longer course starting right down in the town centre, and a lot of the athletes have spoken about how it is a bit of a lull, a false sense of security through the early stages of it before it really jumps up. You can see how the elevation profile is distributed around the course, and there are 2 aid stations for water, and then a big aid station where they'll have the opportunity to talk to their team staff as well and pick up gels and any extra bits and pieces that they need for this longer race, 9 kilometres. And here is another look at the profile. Takes in the second half of what we've just seen of the 4-kilometre route. So there will be some overlap from the course that you've just seen, and particularly that top end, the really rocky section before the finish line, where the athletes will have to stay really alert after 8.5 kilometres of racing. Then they hit the 500 metres to go, and it is a lot of technical work underfoot.
Always looks so simple when you're a dot on a graphic, doesn't it? But you saw the condition of some of those young athletes, remarkably fit. I mean, this is one of the hardest disciplines. You could probably compare it with Tour de France mountain hill climbs because of the relentlessness of it. And remember, they're mostly teenagers. We're looking at the senior start list. Same deal. It is up to 6 athletes entered, up to 4 can start, and 3 will score on lowest cumulative positions across the line. still athletes out on the course, and that is with some distance still to run. That's still about 1,500 meters in horizontal terms from the finish. So that will be quite a lonely thing, but his team picked him to finish, and he's going to finish. Some of the small nations, I'm looking at Malta there. I don't know what mountain terrain there is in Malta, but it will be limited. San Marino don't have too far to come to get access to the Alps.
Alla 11:30 per gli uomini. Buona fortuna a tutti e che vincano i migliori. Oggi il cielo è per tutti atleti.
So there's some real experience. There'll be a few tacit nods here from athletes from Alpine nations that know each other on the circuit, will have raced each other, and this time it is a gold medal and a European title on the line. San Marino, it'll be interesting to know how their selection process took place, because they are one of the smallest European Federation states.
Up and down race. Which is very important for all the athletes. And be sure when you're cheering every step you.
And as Ellen mentioned, this start down in the more urban areas will give them a more gentle introduction to the foothills before the battle begins in earnest. Malta, there we are. I think it was one competitor for them.
A great show.
I think we're 3 or 4 minutes away from race start.
And a reminder that at the same time, a little bit further up the mountain, we do have the start of the under-20 women's race. They will be further up the course. Of course, only 4 kilometres to run. I say only, as Jeff White pointed out before, it will be absolutely lung-busting. Great to see Lucas Earl in there as well, the US-based athlete, given the opportunity to come and race here in Slovenia, wearing the colours of Germany.
Well, these athletes across the front row are the athletes we heard from in interview. You may have picked up on them in 3 or 4 different languages. I don't know if they're just going to wave or whether they take a step forward to be introduced. Jacob Adkin, we heard from. He was a European uphill champion before the status of the championships was formalised back in 2019. Lucas Erler, under-20 champion, bronze medalist from 2024. Di Lorenzi, the up-and-down defending champion, so his big day, you would think, would be Sunday, but this will certainly be a workout for him. And for the home team, Timothy Bekan is making his 2nd appearance in these championships. So they may get a little wave, or it may just be that sweep across that we had. But the winner, according to the local organising committee, will come from that front row. We shall see. There'll certainly be known quantities to each other, the front row of the grid. I thought it was competitors with umbrellas at the back. It might even be team management just keeping them dry for the last few seconds, last minute and a half or so. I think this will be a more orderly start. They have a wider section to filter down before the narrow trails approach. The very definition, by the way, of hill running and trail running is not more than 20% road or asphalt. So you can get mixed surfaces, and obviously to accommodate this start, we do have a road area. 1 minute, says the starters marshal, before they get underway for our senior men's uphill European Championship at these 3rd off-road running championships in Slovenia. Welcome along if you're just joining us. It's Jeff Whiteman with Ellen Ellard. This is race 2 out of 10 across the weekend. Do you think these guys will start their watches? Well, if you wouldn't wear a watch if you weren't going to start it. I wonder what purpose that has, whether they can just see lapse time, because it's not like a road race where you can say, oh yeah, I've gone through 5 kilometres in 14:30, I'm on schedule for whatever. The time is very, very secondary to positions in something like this.
You wonder whether it's more to accommodate the the heart rate monitor to
Yeah.
get those little metrics. Of course, rather maybe even the incline as well. Of course, the as you've mentioned already, the distance travel. But of course, each and every trail is different, and each and every trail provides different challenges, as we've seen already today.
3, 2, 1.
Exactly on time, we get underway with our senior men's uphill race. A small field, but a high quality field. Croatia, there at the back on the left, have decided they are following team orders and they will run together and try and help each other. Showing early, Germany in the yellow singlets, almost coming to the fore as an arrowhead, as the first of the inclines on this wider carriageway, this wider lane, starts to give them plenty of room to see what's going on all around. But 3 yellow vests for Germany in the senior men's competition is starting to give an early flourish that will please the team management. They've just seen a French clean sweep. It's a bit early to be committing to a German clean sweep.
Well, what a story it could be, Jeff, if Lucas Erler, the 21-year-old, he's the man you can see on the left of the row for Germany, runs in the USA. He's just moved on to a second college in the USA. He's always felt like he's been very backed by the collegiate system, which is really interesting to hear, because you think this would be something that traditionally might be discouraged in favour of track running. But his sister has just got underway in the under-20 women's race at exactly the same time, 4 kilometres further north, and we could see a double for the Earl family today. They, of course, along with a couple of other teams, Germany packing out the front row there. But what a story that could be.
Well, it would be remarkable. They are quite the family, aren't they, the Erlers? I think she has got to be the hottest favourite across all 10 races this weekend. She's outstanding at cross country. She's got some great track times. She doesn't yet have to make any decision on what she's going to specialise in, but I think she will absolutely run away with that women's competition. Although we have had some late withdrawals with colds and flu and things like that, so anything can happen. But it is the Swede just starting to lead a little bit of an arrowhead before we get to the trail sections. It's several different running techniques in one, isn't it? This one is the short, choppy stride, the arms close to the chest. Adkin there just moving up to keep an eye on things in third place for Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
He traditionally performs so well at these championships, doesn't he? Jacob Adkin, the silver medalist in the uphill in 2024, said he really embraced those wet and challenging conditions in Annecy in France. Similar conditions when they get right up into the mountain. You can see the rain coming down still, but challenging conditions when they will get onto the trails. And took the gold back in 2019 in the shadow of the Matterhorn in Zermatt. He also took the team title that year as well, something that Great Britain will have their eyes on once again here as he pulls up alongside the athlete wearing the colours of Sweden, and these two pushing the early pace now.
Nice little cluster of supporters there. I hesitate to say that it's because they're under cover from the trees, but the athletes will have welcomed that. And it is incredible. If you look at Jacob Adkin, it's almost like a machine there, isn't it? Where hardly any distress in the upper body, minimal movement of the arms, just chugging away. And that is a real lung-busting climb that they're already into. And that isn't going to let up much for the next 45 minutes or so. So these athletes are some of the fittest across all sports. You imagine putting some boxers or some, I'm trying to think of a sport that's less anaerobically based, some team sport players to try and run even a couple of kilometres with these guys. Phenomenal fitness. And not all of them are full-time athletes. Those that we can see in vision at the front are sponsored. They're on the circuit. They win prize money. They can make their living from it. But for many of the others, they have to combine a career with running as a sidebar.
Yeah, well, you make a great point there, Jeff, and I think it is so telling, isn't it, when we look at this part of the course already and how steep it is getting. You know, of course, me and you as people who watch a lot and observe a lot of track and road running, and the fact that these athletes come out and say this is a very gradual start, this is an easy start to the race, this is, they're being lulled into it here and really enjoying it. But you look at already the incline, the gradient that they're facing, and that is only going to get steeper and steeper, and this is with slightly more favourable underfoot conditions, as Jacob Adkin leading the way with 5 minutes on the clock.
We should mention footwear at this point, because we can see the athletes with a variety of choices of footwear. This isn't a sport that is particularly affected by the evolution of super shoes. So those shoes that you see on marathon runners, and we saw a first ever sub 2 hour marathon for Sarway of Kenya in London, they have a stack height at the heel of 40 millimeters maximum, 4 centimeters. These athletes need grip, so there'll be a stud or a waffle or a ridged outsole, and there'll be a much lower profile. They need some cushioning, but it won't be giving them a stack height that gives them any kind of instability. And it looks to me like Adkin is just asking a few questions of the others here, just a few little testers being put in, and the response isn't immediate from those behind him. He obviously knows he's fit. Looking at the team positions, still early days. Germany's still going well. France were going well. We're looking at 3 together from Switzerland there. And there's Slovenia, all 3 athletes in the green. That is their challenge. And you never know. There is a long way still to go. They will have had the opportunity, the Slovenians, to practice, to train, to race on this course. So they'll know everything that's ahead, and the top 3 running together at this early stage. 6 minutes into the race.
Well, what a venue for these local athletes to call their backyard, and the opportunity to come and train on these trails week in, week out. It is such a breathtakingly stunning part of the world, and plenty relishing the opportunity to be here to compete. But for those who are competing on home soil, some national pride at stake as well. And well, we've mentioned it throughout the first almost 7 minutes of this race. You can see the 2 clocks completely in sync with when the under-20 women got underway further up the course. But this is a very, very controlled position for Jacob Adkin to be in at the moment. You can see really stretching the field, the early pace that he is setting, and he looks so composed through these first couple of kilometres.
Well, he's left his mark on the race. Whatever happens from here, this, I think, could be the back marker coming through. So the whole field within about 45 seconds of each other, maybe within a minute of each other. Oh no, they're still coming.
Can you describe us how
Let's hear from France.
it was an hard race with difficult conditions, but with my mate Yannick, we do a very good race tactically. So we are both first, and I want to say congratulations to him. And yeah, it was crazy. So congratulations to both of you. How did you manage to pace it so well that you took our first both at the same time?
We prepared for the first part. We started very slow with third guy's punch, and we moved and started to high power on the second part.
And we saw we were together, so we were like, bro, we do it together to first place, not a bottle. And yeah, it was crazy. Congratulations, and it's nice to be a European champion.
Yes.
It's very nice. Yeah.
So you decided on the way that you
We say to each other. Yesterday we say if we are both in the first place, we.
Well, well done to both of them as well for conducting their interview in a second language as teenagers. This is Jacob Adkin leading in the senior men's competition, and he has absolutely spread-eagled the field. There is no question of those chasing forming any kind of peloton and working together, because they know this guy is favoured for a medal, so he's not messing around. It's not a jokey surge where he'll come back to them. He absolutely means business here, Jacob Adkin, and if he could pull this off for Great Britain and Northern Ireland, it would be the biggest win of his life. And he's doing it the hard way, because he took the lead, 2 minutes into the race, Ellen?
Yeah, commanding lead from the start. And of course, we saw Germany pack out the front row, and now nowhere to be seen. And it is so interesting, isn't it, Jeff? You know, we broke away for maybe 30 seconds, maybe 45, close to a minute there to go and watch the French interviews, and now we come back and, well, no one to be seen apart from Jacob Adkin leading the way convincingly in this senior men's race, as we will pick the race back up and hope to see some pictures as well of the under 20 women as they make their way towards the finish line in just a few moments' time.
This is what Kamnik looks like when it's not raining.
It'll be good to get out on the course. As you said, it is a pretty fast start, but it is quite a long course, and also a big climb. So I think a bit of pacing will be required. But it'll be good to get back out on the course and see how we get on. I did a race here about a month or two ago, so had a good feel for the course. So but there was quite a bit of snow still at the top then. So I'm hoping we're going to get be a little bit different hopefully on Friday.
Je suis venue du coup repérer l'année dernière à la manche de Coupe du Monde le parcours uphill. Du coup il est assez long quand même comparé à ce qu'on a l'habitude de faire sur des formats un peu plus courts et avec un peu moins de dénivelé. Mais je pense que ça va être un bon parcours. Il est assez varié puisqu'au début c'est quand même assez large et assez roulant. Et ensuite ça monte un peu plus raide. Et puis vers la fin, pareil, ça se radoucit un peu. Donc ça va être sympa. Je pense que ça va être une belle expérience, surtout qu'on a une très bonne équipe. Donc j'ai hâte de courir.
Ja, od same trase lahko pričakujemo, da je izredno težka, predvsem za dekleta. Veliko višincev, 1200, relativno dolga. 1 uro za dekleta ne gre mimo tega. Tako da jaz pričakujem eno dolgo popotovanje zame, trpljenje od štarta do cilja, ampak sem dobro pripravljena, tako da bomo šli čez to, bomo zborbali. Nekako sem si zadala, da grem svoj cilj od štarta do cilja, tako da mogoče bom malo počasneje začela, kot je to od mene v neki navadi. Ker recimo v roturnem smučanju vedno nekako posežem že v začetku med prva mesta, ampak letos sem prvo leto v članski konkurenci, ne vem točno kaj pričakovati, kje stojim in se ne znam orientirati po dekletih. Zato sem si res dala v glavo, da od štarta do cilja svoj tempo, na koncu na veliki planini pa dam vse, kar ostane.
We're back live with the senior men's uphill race at the European Off-Road Championships. This is Jacob Adkin of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. We just heard from his older sister, Scout, who is one of the challengers in the senior women's uphill race, which is coming up, the 4th of 4 races on this day one program. Is that sunshine breaking out at this point on the course? The Adkins they run for Moorfoot runners in Scotland. That's in border country. And I think from where they grew up, there is a significant hill just at the end of their road. So they're absolutely born to these conditions. They've embraced hill running, albeit that they've run every other kind of discipline as well, track and field, cross country and road.
Be really interesting to see, Jeff, at which point we see a gap, and I think we could maybe judge it here, just waiting after we've seen Adkin make his way through this this part of the town. Who is next to emerge? I think it's one of the German vests.
Sweden, I think,
Sweden.
Is it?
Yep.
And is that I'm looking at that white vest.
I think
Could be Finland,
it's
I'm not sure.
Italy. I think maybe Italy, who's France. Now the first German runner making their way through. 15 minutes into this senior men's race.
There's the second and third scorers for Germany, so they may well be leading at this point in the team competition. It's positions, not times, and you can see the only significant gap in the race is the one between Jacob Adkin and the chasers. Look at this duel, and that could have a bearing on team medals. The second and third British scorers within that little cluster there as well. We've still got another 45 minutes or so. Here's Slovenia. They've run this in lockstep right from the start, and they are just slowly chugging their way through the field. So you never know. It's hare and tortoise stuff. Brilliant support. Listen to that. We've got the cowbells out. It's a wall of noise. And then from there, where we've got these houses around here, they'll go back into the silence of the forests. Good support.
Yeah, I made the mistake of not getting my stopwatch out between the time we saw Jacob Adkin and then the time that Petter Engdahl of Sweden came through as the second place runner. I wonder whether we will get some data with, and here they are,
there
right on cue, 23 seconds. The gap between Jacob Adkin and Petter Engdahl of Sweden.
And almost all of those gaps are bridgeable, including the lead. So it is still everything to play for. It looks as though Jacob Adkin has made a long, long run for glory, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, Petter Engdahl, he's finished second this year in the Transvolcania ultra marathon, and after that he spoke quite a bit about how he wanted to get back to recognising himself after 2 seasons of lots of ultra marathons. He admitted it had kind of taken its toll on his body and also the mentality as well. He said the last 2 seasons have been really hard in terms of the training and wanted to do some more shorter races. And of course, it's a really good place for him to come and test himself. So used to doing races in the ultra-marathon category, way over the 50 kilometres. He says his aim now is to go between the marathon and the 50k for the next season. So getting married this summer, so busy summer coming up. Can he top it off with a gold medal? He's got to close the 23-second gap that's been opened up by Jacob Adkin of Great Britain, who has been our leader from start up until this point. We're approaching 20 minutes on the clock as we still see some of our athletes make their way through this town here.
This was billed as a team battle between Italy and Switzerland, and at the moment I don't see them leading. There are lots of things that can change. It looked like it was Germany just leading. Certainly both of those nations had at least one man inside the top 10. Looking to see whether these are Swiss colours, in fact. Not sure they are.
We've just seen Malta go through. Switzerland had a good handful of athletes packed out in the top 20. There with Spain as well in the battle for the team title. Here's a look at what happened 20 odd minutes ago for the start of the under 20 women's race. A quick start from one of the German vests, and you would bet that it is Julia Earl, the 2025 world champion in the under 20 classic race. She's ranked number 1 in her age category in the ITRA Performance Index, and as we've spoken about on many an occasion, she has been the athlete to beat, has a real heritage on the track as well. as of course in the mountain running as well. Here's a look at some of the athletes coming through the closing stages, the last 500 metres of this women's under-20 race. Still waiting on our first finisher.
I think that's a Slovenian shepherd waiting to greet them. And as you say, we're into the last minute or so of running here, Ellen, for the under-20s.
Yeah, we see plenty of the athletes will be breaking into that hike up this final steep uphill. Plenty in terms of the technicalities here, as you can see, making their way over the rocks. There's another steep climb to come, and they have to manoeuvre their way over a real crag to find the finish line. It's almost a hunt at this point to see through the fog, the mist, the rain, where that finish line will emerge. This is Lucia Ferrari, the Italian athlete who we've just broken away from the back of, as we are looking at around the middle of the pack for these under-20 women. We'll get confirmation when we see our first finisher across the line in this under-20 women's race. If it goes by the way of the expectations, it will be Julia Earl, who, of course, as we mentioned, come into this as the defending champion in the under-20 women's up and down race, as well as the classic hill as well, which is our first races to kick off the weekend here in Slovenia.
First Slovenian getting a huge roar.
Yeah, you can understand why. Well, they're the one kit that you can spot through this fog,
Yeah.
Jeff. The highlighter green, that really vibrant green kit, which always sets the Slovenian athletes apart from the rest of the field, wherever they are competing. And this is a real challenge, as we're seeing once again, just how you judge your next strides, Jeff, when you can't see more than 100 metres ahead of you.
Here's our winner, I think. Or no, have we?
Well, I think
if we missed the finish. We missed the finish, and these are.
Well, that is the finish, and look at it. Oh. It's on the line between Gloria Herold and Klinklakova of Czechia. Nothing between the two of them. Oh, what a battle.
That was almost a collapse, a dive and a collapse for the line there, but it took the title for Herold. Oh.
And just 1 second between her and Klinkova. With now across the line in third, the pre-race favourite, Julia Early, straight over to embrace her compatriot, 36 seconds behind the time of the winner. Well, that is the joy, isn't it, really, and also the disappointment for some athletes who are on the receiving end of it, of the mountain running and trail running scene. Jeff, you can go in as pre-race favourite, and really, but once you cross the start line, it rarely counts for much.
Well, that's the champion, and she's looking a bit thoughtful and a bit pensive. That has been really hard out there. There's no question about that. I mean, there's not even a levelling off for the finish. It's absolutely on the uprise, and I made Julia Earler probably the hottest favourite of all 10 races. She's got a medal out of it, so fair play to her. But this is a real warrior's course. It can humble even the best.
And we will be shortly heading back down the mountain for the start of the senior women's race, our final race of the day. We have flown through everything already here in the first day of action. 4 races today. We then focus solely on the trails tomorrow, the massive 52-kilometre race. And I'm sure there'll be plenty watching on, looking at some of these pictures, hoping for better weather tomorrow, and we are expecting better weather over the course of the weekend before we head to the up and down races. It's exactly the same course for the women as it is for the elite men, who are making their way around it. 24 minutes on the clock for the senior men, who last time we saw were being led by Jacob Adkin, and it is his sister Scout, older sister, who goes in this race and is one of the pre-race favourites, leading a really competitive field in the women's side of things today.
Such a cool name, isn't it, Scout? I was trying to think. I didn't think I knew any other Scouts, but I think one of Bruce Willis's kids was Scout Willis. So, but,
Some
what a
excellent
story.
knowledge there.
Can you imagine if brother and sister won European titles? Let's not tempt fate.
We did tout that earlier on today, didn't we, with the Earle brother and sister, the Earle siblings getting underway at exactly the same time at 10:30 local time. Julia Earle is across the line in third, and well, a race that is being dominated on the men's side by Jacob Adkin, and he is being followed through by Petter Engdahl of Sweden. Here is a look at the lineup for the women's races. Austria going to tomorrow's race with one of the pre-race favourites, but today just one athlete on the start list for this classic uphill race. A good turnout, as you would have expected, for both France and Spain and Great Britain as well. Scout Adkin leading the way for that nation. And then we've spoken a bit, Jeff, haven't we, in the build-up just between the two of us about the variety of athletes that you get competing at these off-road running championships, and Hortenroth of Germany competing in the marathon at the Olympics in 2024, and she's got a big summer ahead of her, already selected for the Birmingham European Championships coming up in just a couple of months' time now. So it is the women's side of things where we do see quite a lot of variety in terms of where these athletes would maybe suggest that they specialise.
Yeah, these are this is the last race of day one, warming up, due underway in just under 4 minutes from now, the senior women. And as you say, Ellen, your sport kind of picks you. These are the 4 leading seeds being introduced.
Yep, we can take a look through some of the pre-race favourites that have been selected by the organising committee here. Christelle Deval, she brings bags of experience to this French team. Has been a mainstay in the sport for a very long time now, 42 years old. You won't be able to take your eyes off Scout Adkin. She is one of the pre-race favourites. A lovely moment for the German athlete as well. We just mentioned Hortenroth, the Olympian from 2022, who 2024 even, I should say. She's been selected for Birmingham this summer. Maria Fuentes, one of a very strong Spanish contingent, and of course, as we look at the home favourite as well, Velopech, Italy in there as well. And you have to say, those nations where you have such a strong heritage of mountain running, strong history in the sport, they of course will be up there battling in the team fight as well. 3 to score, with the lowest position, total positions between the athletes, as we saw with France. They took a 1-2-3 in the men's under 20 race, so scoring 6 points, and we've just seen Germany no doubt on course to take the under 20 women's title with positions 1 and 3 going the way of the Germans. Can they pick up another medal here with Hortenroth?
Well, I'm just looking at Hortenroth wearing fingerless gloves there, and I don't think it's anything to do with the summer temperature. She's just showing us her gloves there. It's in case she needs to scramble a little bit on those boulder inclines, just for grip on the hands.
Has had to do a lot of scrambling races, or races that have required scrambling this season. She was third in her first vertical kilometre of the season in Innsbruck, behind teammate Hannah Gruber. That was back in April. Ran 1:14 for a half marathon in Mainz on the 10th of May. And she's one of those athletes who's really worked her way up through all the distances, starting on track, of course, with base in cross country as well, and then onto the road, where she's had some excellent moments over the course of the last few years. And no doubt, I'm sure she'll say that cemented really with her performance at the Olympic Games, becoming an Olympian in 2024. But next to her, one of the leading names in mountain running in Scout Adkin. And a reminder, her younger brother, leading the way in the men's race the last time we checked. 1 minute signal shown to these women on the start line, our final race of the day here in Kamnik, as we kick off the European Athletics Off-Road Running Championships. A brilliant day of racing so far, some breathtaking, nail-biting finishes, and just under 8 kilometres separating these women, and European glory on the first day of action. here in Slovenia. Fingers poised on the watches on the wrists of the athletes. Countdown is on. And we are underway, the final race of the day, and that's never what you want to see, an athlete going down right at the start of the race. Adkin having to hurdle over the athlete who went down, and, well, Jeff, that is the worst possible start to a race like this.
Well, I'm just looking back to make sure she got up and was running okay. She can only have been clipped from behind. It was a perfectly smooth start, but that's a bit of a collector's item in a race that's going to take over an hour. That we have somebody tripped on the start line. Looks like everybody's up and running. Good news.
Yeah, well, always such nervous energy, isn't there, at the start of these races? We see it so predominantly in the cross country in particular. When you are in these positions, it is still a relatively tight start, isn't it? As much as we have got, what is that, about 10 athletes maybe along the start line. It is still quite tight as we can take another look back at the incident at the start of the race. Never a position.
Wondering whether it's a Polish athlete that went down.
Certainly looked like those were the kit colours, the red and the white.
It was interesting when the featured athletes were introduced on the start line, and there were 5 or 6 of those. Their teammates discreetly tucked themselves in behind them. That soon broke up, but there was formation start positions that were taken. I've got a featured athlete. I'm moving up into this second row. I'm the number 2 scorer.
Well, it's a quick start from the athlete out front, wearing the colour of the Netherlands. I wonder whether this is Ninka Brinkman setting the early pace here. Only started running 6 years ago. And well, you can see there clearer on the vest. It is Brinkman. 2 years later, after she started running, it was a Dutch marathon record that came her way with 2 hours 22:51. Later beaten by Sifan Hassan. As we go back to the front of the men's race.
Live pictures, 32 minutes in. So they've gone through a checkpoint. Let's see what the gap is from Adkin to second. Last time we checked, it was Petter Engdahl of Sweden and Andrea Elia of Italy, and it was about I think 27 seconds. If anything, it looks like he's going away, but keep your eye on the clock. We're already on 30 seconds, over 30 seconds. This does look, at this stage, we're beyond halfway. This looks like it is a winning run for home for Jacob Adkin. Absolutely full of confidence. He didn't really hesitate or look back at any point. Just like a machine.
Well, we are still waiting and waiting, aren't we? And it was...
It's a minute, over a minute.
As you rightly said. And it was only 23 seconds the last time we saw our male athletes. And we are now, as Jeff rightly says, over a minute the lead of Jacob Adkin. It has been a real formidable start to this race, and never has he not looked fully composed. Here we go. It looks like this is now Petter Engdahl making his way through the aid station as we take a look to the front of the women's race as well. Skat Adkin moving her way up to third as her brother dominates in this men's race.
I wonder if she knows. I wonder if she's had any feedback. She'll have been warming up for the last half hour while the men's race has been underway, but it's got to give you a lift, hasn't it? Your brother on his way to a European title as you line up to do one. And it looks like he is away and clear. Let's concentrate on the women while they're in vision. But it's a minute and a half, the lead of Jacob Adkin of Great Britain in the men's uphill European Championship.
And so leading the way still, Ninka Brinkman. Previous winner of the Zagama Marathon, and plenty of these women and of course men's athletes still have that marathon in their legs from just a fortnight ago.
This could be leading the German challenge. We've still only had one through for each of the nations. There's Switzerland. So Sweden has one, Italy has one, Germany has one, Switzerland has one. second scorer for Switzerland. So it is coming true. Where's their third man? Spain with a runner in vision. We're now going on split screen. We're just looking to see a third red Swiss vest come through if they are the leaders in the team challenge. Two for Italy. There is the third Swiss athlete. So at the moment, Switzerland leading in the men's team competition uphill. And that's two more for Germany. Germany in second, but a position changed in the last half of the race will make all the difference in those standings. It is only cumulative total on positions. So these gaps, some of which are significant and some of which aren't. We've seen about 8 athletes come through in the space of 12 seconds. That can easily be reversed.
We have had some confirmation from people on the start line that the athlete who fell was Christelle de Waal, the French woman who is set to compete in both disciplines, but she is continuing in the race.
And I'm wondering if that's her back in 7th place there. As we look at the head-on shot, it certainly is confirmation of those big gaps. But there are the 3 scorers for Switzerland inside the top 10. And visually, it looks as though Germany may be the closest challengers for the team competition. Those are big gaps to contend with, but only 13 seconds between silver and bronze at the moment.
And just 6.5 minutes into this race, we do have a breakaway pack of 6 as this field is split early on. Well, they were speaking, weren't they, quite a bit in the pre-race interviews about how quick a start may be required as they go through the early parts of this trail. They've come off the tarmac onto the slightly softer underfoot conditions, the gravel, and will make their way shortly into the tightly, densely packed forest that we are seeing. Jacob Adkin and our leading men make their way round in the senior men's race that started half an hour before this women's race. You can see the clocks at the top perfectly in sync as we go back to the front of this women's race. And well, a great showing already for Great Britain, and who have 2 runners in this top pack of 6.
We know from the men's race that this is it is possible to make a breakaway and a burst, but essentially for the team contest, it would be reckless to go too early. But looking back to try and see where the third Great Britain and Northern Ireland scorer is, don't think envision there yet. Brinkman from the Netherlands, obviously not a country noted for its hills. So at some point in her life, and when you read the backstories of these athletes, they had a school trip somewhere alpine or hilly and really took to it, loved the atmosphere, the scenery, the feeling of being outdoors, the energy of running in the hills. I wonder how that happened in Netherlands to have the leader in the European Uphill Championships.
Yeah, it's always interesting, isn't it, when you see some of these nations who are so often characterised by their flatlands, and of course the Netherlands being one of them. Has a European medal already to her name, Linka Brinkman. That was in the 22 European Championships, taking bronze in Munich.
Congratulations on winning the Junior Championships. I saw it was really tight. How did you feel?
It was hard. It was really hard. Yeah, the rain and also at the start. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't have any words because I can't say anything. So yeah, but it was a nice race. So yeah,
congrats.
quite a subdued champion. I think she drained the tank there, didn't she? There wasn't. It was a dive for the line that won it by 1 second. She looked a bit exhausted at the finish line, and she still sounds a bit exhausted now, doesn't she?
Yeah, and you can understand when particularly the pre-race favourite was one of her own teammates, and she's overshot her expectations, maybe her team expectations, certainly the media expectations of who will perform in the race, as we go back and hear from some of the athletes
Friday race
this weekend.
Yes, but I hope to do my best and to enjoy during race. The track is challenging, but for me also amazing and varied. So I can't wait. I can't wait to run and to do my best. Yes, last year I ran in this in Kamnik for the World Cup, so I know the race, the track, and yes, so.
So back we cut to the front of this senior women's race. As we make our way through the trees, plenty of course, challenges with the signal loss, but it is Great Britain who are in a very, very good position here. 1 and 2 for Team GB. And it's so quick how these groups have fragmented, Jeff. We've gone from a group of 6 now down to 4 that is really fragmented across the top end of this course.
Yes, I think you find athletes naturally trying to run alongside another athlete, even if they're from an opposition nation, just to get a little bit of help, try and match the rhythm. But this has almost gone to single file, and we're still at a relatively early stage. So not dissimilar to what happened with Adkins' breakaway in the men's race. It is a British athlete forcing the issue 12 minutes into the women's championship.
As we go back to the front of the men's race.
Not too far to go now. He's into the final quarter of the race. Jacob Adkin of Great Britain at the last checkpoint, probably the last checkpoint that we'll get in the race, was a minute and a half clear of Engdahl of Sweden in second, with a shorter gap of about 15 seconds back to Andrea Elia. These are the supporters who feel love, feel Slovenia. They're waiting for the 4th race of the day to come through. But Adkin is having the race of his life.
And of course, we saw plenty of picture breakup as the women were making their way into the foothills and through the forest here in Kamnik. And I do believe, though, here we go, we'll get a better shot here. It is Morven Gudrum, who delivered a standout performance in Keswick just a couple of weeks ago to win her first British Mountain Running Championships title, and she's really split the pack here. She finished ahead of Scout Adkin on that day. It was an 8.6 kilometre course that climbed just under around 950 metres to the summit of Skiddaw, around an 8.5 kilometre course. She finished that in 47 minutes, just under 48 minutes actually, ahead of Scout Adkin, and is pushing the pace here. And well, this is a very similar picture to what we've seen in the men's race, Jeff.
Yeah, it looks like she's working a bit harder. Jacob Adkin was absolutely impassive at this point. You can see that just in the facial expression, she's absolutely going for this. The intent is the same, the execution slightly different. Adkin, I think, in Jacob Adkin, I ought to start distinguishing between the two Adkins because they're both on track for medals. Jacob Adkin in the men's is a really smooth operator, and in the women's, Gudrun, just a slightly punchier arm action. And I think we we missed our opportunity to see Jacob Adkin with the cameraman, with the camera strapped to him, trying to keep in touch with him across that flat, across this section that we're seeing now. This is the athlete in second, Peter Engdahl of Sweden. He can't see Adkin now, so this is difficult for him. If he looks back, it will be disconcerting because Elia is less than 20 seconds behind, we think. Let's have a look. So it is, there he is. And he can just drill a hole with his eyes in the back of Engdahl's vest, key in on him, try and just claw it back metre by metre. So it is Great Britain leading in both of the senior competitions in the uphill Day 1 European Championships.
And a really strong burst of pace from Morven Gudrum. He wins a Slough-Eton and Hounslow athlete, charging away from the field, and you can see only now the athletes behind her coming over the crest. Last time we took a look back and were able to see the athletes behind Gudrum. It was Scout Adkin, her compatriot, and Brinkman as well of the Netherlands. I think they've dropped the German favourite Hortenroth, who is just fading into the background as two very similar races in terms of the dominance that they've exerted on these last two races of the day. We're seeing the under-20s go through, and now our full focus on to the senior races, although it looks like they're maybe
senior men, I think, are in the closing stages, Ellen. The one thing I'd say about this finish is the hardest finish I've ever seen. It is uphill across rocks. It is literally probably the summit of this hill, but it is tough because you get no respite, no ability to gather yourself. We've seen the under-20 women's title won by a lunge for the line and 1 second. Adkin has the opportunity to enjoy it a little more. We're looking further down the field in the bottom right hand of the split screen. These are the athletes inside 10, so determining the team medal positions, but outside the individual medal positions. And Gudrun of Great Britain in the lead at an earlier stage of the women's title. Head on now. This is Jacob Adkin. I wonder if he's getting feedback about how big that lead is. Very difficult, but I think he's inside the final kilometre of this race now. Can't even see the summit through the mist, but it's just up there, round to the left. 47 minutes of running, all of it uphill, barring about 1%. And honestly, he's had some days, but this no medal shines brighter than a gold one, and this will potentially mark out a great year for him because there's a whole summer of sky running, of mountain running, of hill running. This is where we go back to scramble again, but the spectators getting more dense, more prolific. The cameraman doing very well to keep up here, to even keep within a few strides of Adkin. Remember, this is the European champion. The adrenaline will be pumping a little bit as well now. If we look back, it's a long look back in the mist because I think that gap is closer to 2 minutes than 1 minute over Engdahl of Sweden in second. You can see ponchos and umbrellas, the order of the day. That will have affected the number of spectators who've been able to get out on the course. As Ellen said, the forecast across the weekend for the long trail race and for the up and downhill races on Sunday is magnificent. So we will see this scenery in all its glory. Right now, that's what mountain mist looks like. And it's tricky, isn't it, to follow a championship. These, I think, athletes inside 10, but outside 3, as we ran with Adkin on that section of the race. He's going to be finishing in the next few minutes. The women estimating something around either side of 60 minutes for the winning time there. So they still have 40 minutes to run. Look at the speed they're generating on this rare downhill section. That's an opportunity to just get the stride opened up again, maybe try and do a little bit of overtaking as well. And it's going to come down to 1 or 2 positions for the silver and bronze team positions. Switzerland right now in pole position. Spain, I think we've seen 2 through at least for Spain. So this is Jacob Adkin taking the biggest win of his life to become European uphill champion. did it the hard way. He opened up and they're all absolutely spent. Even the winners, there's not a lot of elation. I think a little bit of emotion for him there, because that's he's had wins in races that have had lesser status than this, but to win a European title, can hardly stand up for the cameras, can he? The wind is really buffeting as well. But now the joy starts to come through. Jacob Adkin is the men's uphill champion. He'll perhaps wait around with a few layers on to see how his sister Scout gets on in the women's. We are already 40 seconds behind in the battle for silver. I think it's almost certainly going to be Engdahl, but he was under pressure from Andrea Elia of Italy for the silver and bronze positions. Well run, Jacob Adkin.
Well, what a huge performance from Jacob Adkin. And as much as now you can see just how spent he is and how much effort he's had to put into that run. He never looked out of control, Jeff, and so much of the work that he did in the early stages of that race really paying dividends, and now the smile arrives on his face and you can see him soaking it up.
I think for mountain runners, the first priority is stay on your feet, keep breathing. Then it's recover, and then it's smile. It's nothing other than that order. So these are top 10 athletes going through that final checkpoint. It's a field of 84 athletes that started in this senior men's race. We still haven't had the silver medal athletes, so it's a margin of already 1 minute and 45 seconds for Adkin. He must have been super confident, and this will give him such a lift for his remaining races in the summer of 26.
Yeah, you don't go out with that pace and the determination that he had if you do not back yourself at the highest level. Here comes our second place finish there now.
Petter Engdahl of Sweden takes the silver, and he's happy enough with that. But also, first recover, then celebrate. They'll have raced each other a great deal over the Sky Runner and other championship series, and it was only a small margin to third. That is Andrea Elia of Italy taking the bronze. Now the battles are on, and how tough this is. Can you gain one more position, because you kind of know it could count in the team competition. We're concentrating on the leading Slovenian athlete here as he enters the closing stages. I think he's in around about 12th place or thereabouts. Sweden, we think, in the team competition, not Sweden, Switzerland, we think. First man home for France in 4th place. 2 men home for France. No, that's the same guy from a different angle. Now the Swiss challenge begins with Dominic Rolli in 5th. So the podium celebrates in the rain, in the wind. There'll be a formal presentation of awards. But for the team podium, it is still up for grabs. We've only had those 5 through so far. There was a 3-minute margin between 1st and 5th. So Jacob Adkin absolutely smashed it. 2 home for Switzerland. The crucial third scorer. They'll be looking back. They'll know they've done it. The gaps don't matter. It's all about the positions. 1 for Spain. So they are the only nation so far, Switzerland, who have 2 men across the line in the team challenge. The third runner, not too far behind, but this is, I think, a second finisher for France. And that could be the third Swiss finisher. That could be the team title. Yes, that's confirmed as he goes through the line. Soldini will get a gold medal for that 10th place position. He knew what he had to do. 2 home for Great Britain. 2 home for Italy. Backup scorer for Switzerland.
Yeah,
I think he gets a medal.
De Lorenzi found himself in not too far back as well. A good day for Switzerland on the whole as Lucas Oehler now over the line. 4 minutes and 21 seconds down on the time of Jacob Adkin of Great Britain as the protective methods taken to by the cameraman.
That's a wrap, but it's not. It's just a protective umbrella for a camera, isn't it? France going well. If that's if these are third scorers we're looking at, we've obviously truncated those top 17 positions. But I think Italy and France are going to be in the mix, looking for a third scorer for Great Britain. 1 home for Slovenia there. These are shocking conditions. They'll be very used to it, though. Let's go back to the women's race, where it's also a British leader.
Yeah, and it is maybe a surprise one after winning her first British title in the selection races on the early May. It was the races up in Keswick. Morgan Goodrum with Lindsay Sauerton and Halzo leading the way. It is the German who is next through, Laura Hortenroth, and then Scout Adkin and Ninka Brinkman. They are your top four, and they are well away from the rest of the field. Kern, I think Scout Adkin find it within herself to complete the double alongside her brother Jacob Adkin, who won in commanding fashion. She's only 22 seconds down on the pace, but it is 27-year-old compatriot who is leading the way in slightly surprise fashion. Morgan Goodrum with the early, there's still plenty of way to go in this race, but the early race of her career after only just a couple of weeks ago claiming her first British title. She did win in quite convincing fashion on that day as well, ahead of Scout Adkin. It was just under a minute between Goodrum and Adkin at the British Championships, and she's
Okay, so Jacob, up here
today, so we can hear from the winner.
Congratulations as the new European champion. How was it?
Tough. It was, yeah, kind of just a day for me. Like, my legs were surprisingly good. I didn't know what to expect, and yeah, great field. It was, yeah, a really good course, and yeah, I don't really have the words right now, but yeah, great. Really good day. Really good day.
Congrats. Thank you.
Thank you very much. When did you decide?
Well, he says his legs were good, Jeff, but also the conditions you feel in favour of the British athletes. He took the silver medal in 2024 in similar conditions in Annecy in France, and these are conditions that particularly those athletes who have spent a lot of time either born in Scotland, raised growing up in Scotland, or spend a lot of time up there in the mountains. These are very favourable conditions for those athletes, right?
Yes, especially if you're a Scottish hill runner.
Yeah.
This would be shorts and singlet day for training. I can tell you the team result is a win for Switzerland. France took second and Italy third, with Great Britain only 3 points behind. So it's not double gold or even a double medal for Jacob Adkin, but they had to wait till 23rd position for Matthew Knowles, the third scorer. So congratulations to Italy, France and Switzerland on those men's medals. Weather at the finish, rain. Well, who'd have thought looking at those pictures, Ellen?
And that is, if you're wondering, as you see some colours flash through the screen, that is the protective cover over one of our hardy camera ops who are positioned around the course. Challenging weather conditions today, and it's great that we're now seeing so much of the course, and of course it'll be the same tomorrow as well. We hope to bring in more of the onboards with the athletes as we tell their story over the 52 kilometres that we can expect on the trail tomorrow, and those races really opening up. I think it's going to be super competitive on the men's side, and of course the big news this morning, Tove Alexanderson not competing in the women's race, which adds to the drama of what we can expect tomorrow as the athletes coming through the mix zone. There's plenty of national press here who are trying to pull their athletes over for a chat as well, and the medical staff on hand as well, because there's plenty, of course. Such a challenging course, as much as Jacob Adkin said it was one that he really enjoyed. These athletes have given absolutely everything.
I think you do enjoy it if you win, don't you? I think some of these athletes that are mid-pack are finding it very hard to get their breathing back and just flush the lactic out. Several of them will be racing again. It'll be interesting to see, by the way, we have a double gold in the under-20 men's, the first race of the day. I don't know if organisers provide for that sort of thing. There are ties in track events and field events, as we saw in the high jump once famously in Tokyo, but I don't know if they'll have spare gold medals. Let's hope so. These are the athletes. We're looking at positions 40-ish out of 80 odd, so still maybe at the three-quarter point in the race potentially. So some lonely runs here.
But they were very insistent, weren't they, the French duo of Memeld and Simonou, that they finished together. I think it was Emilien Simonou, who was doing the interview and was desperate to drag Yannick Memeld in with him, and said, despite it coming up as a 1 second gap, that they would be taking the gold together. It was a similar situation, although two different nations in the under 20 women's race, where that 1 second gap will stand, you feel? Although, no, that has been given as a side-by-side as well in the women's race, both King Clover and Herald.
Wow.
Is not showing up as a gap. We do have King Clover, who initially was given second. She has finished level with...
I think on these things, there is chip timing and there is race timing and there are judges' opinions. So when you're on a finish like that, which is essentially steps of rocks that you're going up in a vertical movement as well as a horizontal one, the judge's decision will be final. The chip timing is just as a guidance across the mats at different points on the course. The positions will be determined by the finish team, and the spirit sometimes of these things is, was it an out-and-out race or were they running in together? So I would say definitely for the two French in the under-20s, yes, they were working together. They wanted the tie. Not sure about the senior women's. We'll find out.
Yeah, well, absolutely. When you look at that under-20 women's race, how often, Jeff, do we see a trail race decided on a sprint finish in slow motion? Quite the unique experience in our second under-20 race of the day. We are now camped out, like so many of these teams, at the team time check. Now, this is the team. There's a couple of water stations, one before this and one after this. This is the main one where the athletes can come through. They can talk to their team staff. They can take on water, gels, fluid, whatever they need. There is these little aid stations that they can pick up whatever they require from. Here's a jump back to the finish line. Well, that's a nice
it's the
spread,
Vickers
isn't it?
Tea Party. Look at that. Oranges, melons. I saw some brownies there. The reality is, of course, when you've just finished a real sort of gut-wrenching race, you don't necessarily feel like anything much at all. But that's a bit of jubilation around the British team there. And Jacob Adkin, I think, with his back to us, the new champion. A drink, I think, is the order of the day, and a soft one to begin with.
If you don't turn up with a full watermelon tomorrow, Jeff, I'm going to be very, very disappointed.
It's what you can transport up there as well, isn't it? You can't bring pasta and chips because where are you going to cook it?
So the British team deep in conversation, and we are waiting for what we expect will be a British athlete to come through this aid station before they make their way up onto the plateau. They're coming through the forest as we speak, and of course a bit as we've come to expect over the course of this morning so far. Signal issues with finding the athletes, but we are waiting to see who will emerge through the forest in the lead. It's Great Britain with 2 athletes in the top 3, and Germany featuring as well with Hottenrott.
This is what Kamnik's going to look like tomorrow and Sunday, with melons and brownies and other snacks.
Well, here we go, right on cue. The leading woman in our race, making her way through the forest, and a slightly surprise leader, Morven Goodrum, of Great Britain. Runs her club athletics with Windsor, Eton and Hounslow.
And I can tell you there, the only hill is the one that Windsor Castle sits on. So she must have gone to university or relocated somewhere, done some training somewhere, maybe Box Hill, to get used to hill running. Windsor, Slough, Eton and Hounslow is a club designation. It doesn't mean where she lives or where she was brought up, but it'd be interesting to know what her mountain backstory is.
Yeah, as we've already said, performed really well in the uphill race in the British Championships to take her first British title at the Mountain Running Championships. They were held early in May in Keswick, and she won a commanding victory on that day. So maybe not so much a surprise in terms of if you look at that race in isolation, but certainly when you look at the experience of Scout Adkin, who I believe we will see down in third, although this is Laura Hottenrott of Germany, who's laid down a really good performance here. She has a lot of experience on the road, Olympian in 2024 in the marathon. She was already confirmed her selection for Birmingham. She'll be off to the West Midlands as part of the German squad for the European Championships in a couple of months' time, and then we were just about to see who was emerging through behind them. as the battle for the medal position, the bronze medal position, raging. Two athletes in the fight for that, but well out front in the women's race, Morven Gudrum of Great Britain, as Great Britain looks to make it a 1-2 in the senior races here on the first day of action in Slovenia.
And just to mention, if you're joining us at this point in the race, one of the race favourites, certainly one of those introduced on the start line, Christelle Deval of France, fell in literally the first step of the race. Fell quite heavily onto that stony road, got up and resumed, but we haven't yet seen her. I do hope that she's managed to get into her running, she's not carrying an injury, and that she will feature. We've still only seen the top 3, I think, go through so far, 35 minutes into what will be around about a 60-minute race for these women.
Yeah, we were told by a team on the start line that she was quick to get back to her feet.
That could be her there, I'm not sure. It was certainly France.
So no live tracking and timing today. We are expecting it to be back up and running for tomorrow. We are just seeing glimpses when they go over the time checks every now and again as we see some more of the teams come through. Germany represented in there, France as well.
There's some big gaps. I mean, we're not even quite at the halfway point, maybe just around the halfway point, and there's some gaps. And these are potentially team medal winning athletes, second and third scorers for certain nations. So they know that every position counts. It's a real effort in concentration and just sticking with it, even though there are quieter sections. You inevitably go through bad patches. Nobody has a perfect race. Even Jacob Adkin there was exhausted at the finish. Good and bad sections, but if you're scoring for the team, you have to stick with it. It's a big prize.
Yeah, that of course is such an important part of these races, the team aspect, and as you rightly say, Jeff, it will provide a lot of motivation for those who are outside of the medal picture, maybe even outside of the top 10, who know they need to keep pushing to ensure that those maybe a little bit up the road ahead of them can reap the rewards as well as a single unit.
And as we saw in the senior men's, it's all about the third scorer. It's no use having first and second if your third scorer is 35th place. It's lowest cumulative points total. So I'm looking at a few countries here who've definitely had 2 through. Germany, Great Britain, Switzerland again, among others, but it will be all about the third scorer. And it could be some of these athletes here, one for France, one for Slovenia. I think that may be first or second scorer for Slovenia, but it could be third scorer for France. 3 to score for the podium.
So through the aid station, and a little bit of a slip for Gudrum of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, who is on a charge here. She has been setting the pace from very early on in this race. There was a very quick start, which we expected listening to the athletes on in the pre-race interviews. They all said that there was a lot of anticipation around the start. They thought that with the conditions underfoot, particularly for the first kilometre, mostly on tarmac before they break up into this trail section, that it would be a fast start and there would be plenty decided by the start. We had a group of 6 that then broke down to 4. And very quickly after that, it was Morven Gudrum who decided to push the pace off the back of her standout performance at the British Championships, who is now leading the way by a very, very significant margin. And we're waiting. There's a bit of deja vu here, Jeff, when we look back to, we're just probably around 20 minutes ago when we were in this similar position waiting for the second runner of the men's race to come through.
And there is the gap appearing bottom left. So it's already over a minute. So she is going away here. I mean, Jacob Adkin probably opened up that gap evenly. She's definitely had an outstanding second quarter of the race there, Gudrum. And still, I mean, we're just listening for the applause because of the mist. You can't see the athletes coming down through this little thicket, but that's a winning run again, isn't it? They're not going to catch her now.
No.
It's too big a gap.
And particularly when you look at, as we see now, someone who's came into this race as one of the pre-race favourites, but a minute and a half, 95 seconds behind the time of Morvan Gudrum is Laura Hottenrott, and Clément of France now weaving her way up into second. She's not too far off the heels of Hottenrott. Now, where will we see Scout Adkin, who was matching the pace of her compatriot early on, but finds herself 2 minutes off the pace of Morvan Gudrum? And that really decisive early push of the pace, Jeff, you feel, if you know, it was a very similar situation with Jacob Adkin. If you've got it in you, if you are having a good day on the legs, use it early on, because it really pays dividends now when they look back, and the gap that she's been managed to open up, it is already, barring a disaster when they get up into the plateau, that is a race-winning advantage.
Yes, and I think the British team, having had a trial for this event, have taken exactly the right approach, because these are athletes in form. It looks as though it could be a British double gold on day one in the senior competition. Just looking to see if this was the athlete that fell. Still no sign of one of the pre-race favourites. But there are some impressive CVs further back down the field, but form is everything. Reputation doesn't count for a lot when you're breathing at a heart rate of 180 beats a minute.
Now, this will be the biggest win of Morvan Gudrum's career. She was called up into the junior team in the 2015 European cross-country championships, I think, or that she was Team Europe for the Edinburgh Cross Country, Great Edinburgh Cross Country it was that year, and she's really stamped her mark on this race after, as we already said, a brilliant championships to win the British title. Linka Brinkman, you can see there, she's dropped down to 9th after a good start. Great Britain and Northern Ireland, they find themselves in a very good position.
Yeah,
in
Kirsty Dixon closes that team. Yeah, so that's 3 in 12 for Great Britain. I don't think anybody else has got a third scorer in.
And so all eyes will be on Kirsty Dixon, who will need to keep in touching distance of the Norwegian athlete ahead of her. And it is
Spain going well.
Yeah, Spain in a good position as well. Switzerland up there too.
And Switzerland. So these positions over the next half hour will determine the gold medal. And there's Duval, who fell on the start line, just coming through now. Looks okay, but 16th is not what she will have expected when she was lined up.
A challenging day as well for Maria Fuentes, who lined up as one of the athletes who could really battle for a medal in these championships. But of course the conditions challenging, and you feel it is a race day that favours the Brits and those who are used to racing, competing, training in these inclement conditions.
Very well strung out. We saw that in the men's race. It's if you go through a bad patch, you have to keep going. It's different to any other kind of racing format. You can't really drop out, because you've still either got to make your way back on foot to the start or the finish. You're running in your national colours, so there's that additional responsibility that you are picked to do your bit for your country. It's a great honour, so a little bit more pressure, and it's hard. If you're having a bad day, if you've got stitch, if you've got cramp, if you fell over on the start line, as one or two have, or one has, as we've seen with the next section that we see for Morvan Gudrum will be the one where the camera operative will be running with her across the slightly flatter, grassier section of the course. Full scorer for Great Britain and Northern Ireland going through now. If it was a cross-country doing laps, you would have your team manager telling you exactly how many positions. They're all mathematical geniuses, cross-country team managers, and it's always one more place required. But that information isn't really available because it's in a point-to-point format, and you don't get seen more than once by that team manager. And by the time he sees you, the result is gone. He can't calculate it. So you've just got to assume that every place counts and absolutely give it all you've got. But this is the cruelest finish I've ever seen. Champions absolutely on their knees, despite the elation of winning a European title. Ireland, first finisher at the moment for Ireland, with just about 15 minutes to go for our leader. This is what it looks like, this area, on a good day.
Well, here we go back to the finish line, where there is an opportunity for some of the stewards to take a photo.
That's the medical team
staff.
photo.
I would
Team
wait
photo
usually until we've got all the teams through before before there's the photos, but take it while you've got the opportunity. And here are the intermediate results as well, and you can see such a commanding lead for Morven Goodrum of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. They are leading the way in the team battle as well, so it could be double gold today for Morven Goodrum, who has blown the competition out of the water. A very similar race to that of Jacob Akin. She has just looked so strong from start to where we are now, which is 46 and a half minutes into this race. Still plenty coming through the aid station.
Well, Slovenia only running 3 here. So Lemut, Mikuc and Velopec are, 2 of them are separated by only about 2 seconds for the home team.
I think the fog is getting heavier and heavier, because earlier on when you could make out some of the team flags, the aid station there, and now barely 100 metres of visibility as more of our athletes break through the fog and make their way up the course. This is just the last couple of sections through the forest before we head up onto the plateau, and then it does get really tricky, because even at this point there is of course challenges, Jeff, with the underfoot conditions. Of course we're seeing the fog as well, but as soon as they get out the forest they'll be battling with the wind as well, that crosswind carrying the rain, and it has looked particularly up at the top like really challenging conditions up there today.
Yeah, and the shoe choices are made out of grip considerations. So as well as being able to find your way through this stony trail sections through the woods, there are quite smooth pasture sections with slippery grass and some downhill. So grip is everything. Cushioning for a race of 1 hour, not so much. Looks as though a few people are taking on board sponges. You can see them discarded and they'll be collected from just back in the trees there. We're preparing a welcome in probably about 10 minutes or so time for potentially a second British gold medal of the day.
I think both. I think the British team probably would have backed themselves to take a couple of medals today, Jeff. But do you think they'd have expected it in the manner in which we are seeing it play out here?
Well, it's pretty clear from the way that Morven Goodrum and Jacob Akin took off that they were pretty confident in their form. Remember, these senior athletes race each other quite a lot. The under-20s hardly ever. The seniors will know exactly who's in form. And here's an athlete really in form. The British #1 and at the moment the European #1 uphill, Morven Goodrum.
Yeah, and doesn't she look so strong, Morven Goodrum, making her way over this slightly flatter bit before they go into one final big push up towards the finish line. They have a technical couple of sections of descent. It is, though, in comparison to what these athletes will contend with when they're out on the circuit, a relatively easy course in terms of the technicality. There isn't too many sections where they need to be too worried about their footing on a normal day. Maybe more so today with the conditions that they are now experiencing underfoot due to the rain, the fog, of course, all the weather conditions. A reminder that you can follow all the action, of course, as you are doing with us here on the YouTube for the next couple of days, but also at EA Running on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook as well, and then the European Athletics website as well. The EA Running pages, European Athletics' new running-focused social media channels, as we've spoken about already. Jeff, running taking a huge boom across Europe, and these championships really capitalising on that.
Yeah, I think it's a Venn diagram, which is where Olympic sport meets extreme sport, and it is absolutely as hard as you can possibly push yourself. I mean, we'll see a different kind of physiology in operation on Sunday for the up and down races, but to be able to run uphill for a solid hour on quite treacherous, varied footing against the best in Europe is really, life is full of challenges. This is a big challenge for anybody, isn't it? It's on a day like this especially. I think the reason that finish line is there is that's the summit, isn't it? That's the highest point of the whole trail. You can see as they come down towards us beyond the finish in this direction, they're coming very slightly downhill. So we're looking back down, and this is looking for a first sighting of Morven Gudrum in the women's event. Probably still 5 or 6 minutes away from the finish, but she'll be the next athlete that we see on this camera view. And it looks as though a lot of the male athletes, including this guy for Germany, have stayed behind at the top, shivering, waiting to support their female senior teammates.
And we're just waiting to see that glimmer of movement through the fog. Reminder, they started at around 460 metres above sea level, climbing up to 1,660 metres above sea level. This is Laura Hortenroth of Germany. So much pedigree on the road, on the track, and turning her hand in recent years to alpine running, to mountain running, sky running, and really competing at a strong level here. She said that she's found a real balance in the last year while competing and running more than ever. She says she's found it so important to have real rest days where she actually shuts off from the world and the stresses of being an Olympian and a top-level athlete.
And she looked a lot more weary on what is essentially one of the flatter sections of the course. So we saw Gudrum absolutely flying, getting away from the camera across that section. Hortenroth less so. She doesn't have a huge buffer back to third place, but she's maybe had a look and knows that it's enough with the last 5 or 6 minutes of running to come.
Here is Nelly Clement of France, crowned the French mountain racing champion for a third year in a row. And she has got her name down to compete in both the mountain disciplines. She's second on the Rising Star Index by UTMB. A lot of potential. She was ninth at the Under-23 European Cross-Country Championships last year and took a gold medal as part of the winning French team. She is the top runner for France today as we take a look further back down the order. And that's Scout Adkin, who, as things stand, just off the podium and I think has left herself too much work to do to claim another European medal here.
That's Lucia Arnoldo of Italy, who's in 5th place at the moment.
As we go to the finish line, where you can see that finish tape has been raised, so I think shortly expecting the winner of the women's race to come across the line, and what a day it has been in this women's race. And of course across the board in the senior races for Great Britain and Northern Ireland, who will do the double here. Morven Goodrum waiting, or we're waiting at the finish line for the arrival of Morven Goodrum.
Well, I don't know if they're one of the sponsors, but I raise my cap to Slovenia Telecoms, because there's plenty of people we've seen on their phones on the top of a mountain. It's not common, is it, to be able to get a signal in any kind of G at this elevation, so well done.
Well, everyone wants the photos, don't they? To paint the picture of the conditions in particular that they're facing. I think that's some of the photos, the videos that we've seen. You just look at the battering that those flags are taking right next to the finish line. You can see just how windy it has got as it's really picked up through the course of the afternoon. And here is our winner of the women's race here at the European Off-Road Running Championships. The uphill race won in dominant fashion as Morven Goodrum fighting towards the line. She has just looked so strong and controlled from the very start of this race, launched her own attack, really split the field, and no one was there to react, and now has a lead. Well, last time we checked it was 95 seconds. Now this will be a much greater lead, you feel. I don't think she's slowing down, and I don't think anyone is able to close the gap as she clambers over these couple of rocks that you need to really scramble over. 500 metres to go for our winner in the women's race. The race of her life for Morven Goodrum, who's really announced herself here at the European Athletics Off-Road Running Championships. This after winning her first British title, the biggest title that she has claimed in her career. And, well, she will hope this is quite the springboard for things to come at 27 years old, which is still, Jeff, relatively young in this sport.
Oh, she's a mere baby. She's making this look so easy, isn't she? Just threading her way through. The cadence never drops. There's no real grimace. This could be a big year for her, but she can enjoy it as long as she can stay on her feet.
She just glides, doesn't she? And that is something that we'll see, I think, a lot more tomorrow in the Trail Championships, and of course then in the up and down race, where we will really see the artistry, I think it is, in this sport, of the way that athletes can glide down these more technical sections. There are glimmers of it on this course. There's not as much as we will see in the next 2 days. Of course, this is the real uphill focused race. We've got 57 minutes on the clock, and like we mentioned, she's got such a commanding lead here, Morven Goodrum. Over 90 seconds the last time we got a time check, and you would not be surprised if through the conditions where she looks stronger than anyone else who is in the middle positions behind her, if that gap has grown closer to 2 minutes, I would not be shocked at all.
No, it was a slightly weary hot and rot that we caught a sight of. The team score is going to be interesting. Great Britain and Northern Ireland certainly in the mix. This is the camera looking back down from the finish line for our new champion. Weather foggy. It's changed from rainy to foggy. 11 degrees. It's not bad, but it's not exactly swimming trunks weather, is it?
Well, in a scramble all the way to the line, but she has won in dominant fashion. Morven Goodrum will come across the line. The biggest victory of her career, and what a win. Dominant fashion for the 27-year-old. A historic day for Great Britain and Northern Ireland. She's across the line in 58 minutes exactly, backing up her first British title from the start of May, with her first European title just a month later. She cannot believe it. She's quickly over to embrace her team. It was a huge margin of victory at the British Championships, and it will be once again here while she's testing herself against the best in Europe. And today, on the first day of action at the European Athletics Off-Road Running Championships, she is the best in Europe, the senior women's winner of our uphill race. What a victory, Jeff Whiteman.
Yes, fantastic. Have a little chat with the Slovenian shepherd. That was Angela Marja, former champion herself, her team manager. This is the view a bit further back down the course. I don't think we're going to get anybody else under 60 minutes, or it's going to be marginal, but Hot and Rot of Germany at least has a reasonable cushion behind her. 250 meters to run. If that was on level ground, you would run that in about 45, 50 seconds. On this, it's stay on your feet is priority one. Don't worry too much about the time.
Yeah, and you can, that is so evident, isn't it, by the when you look at the winning time. 58 minutes. It's a course that is half a kilometre longer than the British Champs course, and that was won by Morven Gudrum in 47 minutes, just under 48 minutes. And when you put that into comparison, Jeff, it is clear to see just how challenging. I know there's obviously such a big spectrum of how these athletes assess the challenges, and in comparison to a lot of the sky running, like to use the Gamma marathons that so many of these athletes are so used to doing. It is, of course, a slightly less testing course in terms of its technicality, but still the steepness has been evident. To look over the shoulder from Nelly Clement, who has just lost the sight of Laura Hortenroth ahead of her. It looks like second place will go the way of the German.
Heavy strapping all the way down her calves, you can see there. I mean, no respite for the calves on a course like this. Here's second place.
Oh, she's such a good all-rounder, isn't she? And she takes the silver medal. Laura Hortenroth is straight to the ground. She's really had to fight for that silver medal. And bronze will go the way of Nelly Clement of France, who backs up her medal from the French Championships not so long ago.
11 seconds. They're both going to be on the podium. From there, they will have a good vantage point of how the team competition unfolds. And I think Morven Gudrum will be looking back in particular to see how the Brits do. It's 3 to score. We've got 1 home each for Germany, Great Britain, Italy and France. It's all about the position of the third scorer. And this is the hardest finish line in the world. Welcome to hell.
They have given absolutely everything. There we have Skalakin across the line. The race not going her way today. She was in the mix for a medal, but dropping down to 5th as she comes across the line. And how does that then affect the team championships as Hortenroth over to just check on the athlete who finished just behind Nelly Clement. But look at that for the time gap, Jeff. We said as they were coming over the final stages, it was around 90 seconds when we last saw the gap between Gudrum and Hortenroth, but ending 2 minutes 31 seconds the lead for Great Britain and Northern Ireland's Morven Gudrum. That is exceptional.
So yes, it's fantastic running. The positions are what matter now, not the times. So it's a third finish that we're looking for Great Britain. Every other nation in the top 6 has just had 1 finisher as we go through 62 minutes. Crossing the line now, it's the sensor pads that activate that. That is 2, I think, for Germany.
It is, yeah. Hannah Grober coming across in 7th, so still
2 for France.
Great Britain and Northern Ireland leading the way if they can get their third finisher across the line in the next couple of places, and of course ahead of France and Germany. That will be the win secured for Great Britain and Northern Ireland, but a nervy wait now for those at the top of this hill.
Switzerland won the men's team. I don't think they're going to win the women's. They were packing quite well, but further back down the field. Congratulations to Nienke Brinkman from Europe's flattest country to take a place on the world's hilliest course.
Well, a defining run for Morven Gudrum of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and a race victory that no doubt will be a springboard for those
and there's the third scorer. Third scorer, I think she's going to be greeted by the champion, because that's going to be a double gold day for Morven Gudrum. Just looking to see who it is that closed the team for Great Britain.
What a face pulled by Laura Hortenroth, and I think it is the perfect one to describe what she's feeling right now. It was a real battle, and particularly for her as well, Jeff. Gudrum had gone out and done a lot of the work herself, but in the same manner it meant it was a very lonely run for Laura Hortenroth of Germany.
Yes, and you could see at certain stages, especially towards the end, she was really exhausted. But she may also end up with a team medal. That is still unfolding as we look at it. We think Great Britain and Northern Ireland have closed 3, but the bronze and silver positions still to be decided.
Yes, so Kirsty Dixon over the line in 12th for Great Britain and Northern Ireland. She was followed by 3 Swiss athletes. That was their first 3, all through together before Spain had their third counter over the line.
European champion, what does it look like up here?
I'm a bit shocked, to be honest. It's my first international, so I just sort of went for it, and it's paid off. Yeah, I'm a bit lost for words, really.
Could you walk us through through the whole course? What was the pace like? The weather was changing probably a bit.
Yeah, it started off okay. It was pretty dry, and then it just gradually got more torrential, and then we literally couldn't see the top. But no, it's an amazing course. That last K was a killer as well. So yeah, but no, it's an amazing course. Amazing scenery from what we could see. But yeah.
Well, enjoy the new European champion. Congratulations again.
Thanks.
When did you decide the race?
Well, I think although her club is Windsor, Slough, Eton and Hounslow, that sounds like a Lancashire accent to me. Just reprising, as Ellen mentioned, those team results. Great Britain and Northern Ireland winning, France second, Switzerland third, Spain missing out by 1 point on the podium for the team, 42 against 43. So the team manager was right. 1 place would make a difference. We're sticking with this athlete because this is Slovenia. And she's going to be in 25th position. So we've still got more than half the field to cross the line. Clara Velopech, the first home for the home nation.
They've been faced with the worst conditions of the day. Interesting listening to Goodwin there saying it seems like lovely scenery from what we can see, and I'm sure it has been great to see the cutaways, of course, to what we can expect from Kamnik the rest of the time when it has not been covered in the fog and the wind and the rain that these athletes are having to contend with. We are hoping for better conditions for the next couple of days, but it's really played into the hands of the Brits. What a way to announce yourself, Jeff. We of course had high expectations of Jacob Adkin. He's got great heritage in these conditions. Of course, a former medalist, former champion, and backing that up once again today. But more so for Morven Goodrum, her first international trail race and taking the victory. It's quite some way to announce yourself.
Yes, it is. I think we're going to be hearing from her, as you mentioned, only 27 years of age. I think Jacob Adkins only a year or so older than that. There's confirmation of the individual top 9 so far. A lot of these, of course, will have the privilege of 48 hours to recover, get massage, rehydrate, stretch, and then do the up and down championship on Sunday, which is a whole different set of aching muscles and a different discipline. And there, look at the team results. Sorry, I must have been looking at a completely different set of team results there.
Well,
that's men's.
Yeah,
that's men's. We're just reprising, yeah.
Just as the race concludes, we will tidy up some of the results from earlier on today, because it has been a busy day and it's all flown by, hasn't it? We kicked off at 10 o'clock local time, now just after midday local time, although you won't be able to tell based off the conditions and the complete absence of the sun. Here is a look, confirmation of the results from the senior men's race, with a 2 minute and 7 second advantage over Petter Engdahl for Jacob Adkin of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
And you'll have already worked out with 3 in 10, Switzerland won that team competition. There it is. Very hard to beat. Well done to all of the officials, to our production team, because these are, although it's June, it's on the top of a mountain, anything can happen, very changeable. The weather forecast, as I've mentioned, is brilliant for tomorrow and Sunday, so we will see the best of Slovenia. Meanwhile, we still have about half of the women's senior field to come.
Here's confirmation of what was a thrilling under-20 women's race. Now, we have the benefit of having a look back on social media. Head over to the EA Running Instagram page and you'll see just how close it was. It was the Czech athlete who broke into celebration, and at the same time, Herald of Germany coming across the line. Maybe a slightly early celebration has cost her the outright goal, but they will both take the gold medal, going the way of Czechia and Germany. And here a very similar picture, but with more orchestrated fashion for the two Frenchmen, as Yannick Memeld and Emilian Simoneau across the line, hand in hand. Initially it had been given the way of Simoneau before then, all level, and they will take, well, plenty of gold medals, four medals going the way of France. A real collection there, as the gold being shared on both the under-20 races.
Lots of bling for France at the under-20 men's level. There is a certain spirit, I think, to hill running where there is more camaraderie than other branches of the sport, because at the end of the day, it's you against the conditions, against the mountain, and so a tie is perfectly acceptable. There's no photo finish here. If it's that close, they can both have a gold. It's in the spirit of that branch of the sport.
Well, what a way to kick things off here in Kamnik for the opening day of the European Athletics Off-Road Running Championships. As you can see there, it takes place all weekend. We'll be back tomorrow with the big one. The senior trail race gets underway at 9 o'clock local time. And from myself and Jeff Whiteman, thank you for joining us today. Keep up with all the behind-the-scenes action on the EA Running social media, and we will see you back here first thing tomorrow morning.
Bye.